Greetings and welcome to Channel Otherdoc. I am Jim, I use he, him pronouns, and this is the premiere of our April campaign, our mini-campaign of Monster of the Week, a game of supernatural monster hunting by Michael Sands that's powered by the Apocalypse. I am very excited to dive into this, as I've played it a little bit, and I'm just very interested to see how it runs. So we're going to go around, say hi to everybody, and find out who they are going to be playing in this campaign. We are going to start off with Wally. Hello!
Hey there! My name is Wally. You can find me on the internet at Wally132. The Twitter, actually. I don't really have much of a presence anywhere else besides that. I will be playing the action scientist who goes by the name of Ozymandias Tesla.
Excellent. Good.
He goes by the name Ozzy for short.
Absolutely.
And now let us head over to Autumn. Hello.
Hello. I am Autumn. You can find me at Taurus Donuts on generally everywhere on the internet. And I am going to be playing a clockwork construct named Ori6. Or Ori-V, depending on who you depend to, who's reading it.
This is going to be interesting.
Yes.
This is going to be. I already know this is going to be interesting.
When I saw those two choices of playbooks, I was like,
yes,
oh
yes. This is going to be so interesting.
And now let us say hello to another new face on the channel, Lance. Hello.
Hey, I'm Lance. You can find me at LTALIG. That's LTALIG on Twitter. I'm playing Sullivan Sully Pritchard, and I am playing the Wronged. So we'll see how this goes.
Excellent. Cool. I'm very excited to hear about your character. Now let us move on to Gillian. Hello.
Hello. Hi, my name is Gillian. I'm known as Super Gaming X on Twitter and also known as Super Gaming 1 on Twitch. And I will be playing the Initiate, Scarlet Underwood.
Awesome. Getting more occult influence in here, which is really good. Very cool. And finally, we are going to head over to say hello to Drew. Hello.
Hi, everybody. I'm Drew. I can be found on Twitter at Drew M. Meyer. And I'm going to be playing Vera Huang, who is going to be a gumshoe. He's going to be a teen gumshoe.
Awesome. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see how this goes. Excellent.
I feel a little nervous about this because science, occult magic, I don't know how that's going to mix into this.
I think it's going to make for some very interesting themes of conflict. Or possibly synergy. We'll have to see, because it could go any way. But before we dive into this, this is going to be our session 0. But before we dive fully in, and just as a reminder, like we do with most games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. So if we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, and we'll back up and we'll do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat and we'll fade to black on it, or we'll put it behind a veil, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let us all know that we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or if we say or we do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that again with an X, an N, or an O to let us know if we're still doing okay. And there we have it. Now, Monster of the Week. I think that the way that this all is set up, this game is set up, the first thing one does is one goes around and you introduce your characters perhaps a little more fully. Tell us a little bit about your characters, sort of anything you'd like us to know about them. Tell us about sort of kind of what they look like, and you know, your basic info that'll say for when the things say under the introduction. Basically, anything you'd like us to know, or that the other characters whom you have been working with already when our story will start will kind of know, or perhaps you're starting to work together. We'll figure that out as we go. But just let them know that. So we'll do a round of introductions, and then we'll get into actual history. Yeah, connections of character history. There we go. Me can speak. And so we're going to go ahead, and if folks are good with it, we're going to go in the same order. And so first off, Wally, tell us a little bit more about Ozzy.
All right, let's set the scene for this one. Think back to early 20th century, late 19th century. Two gentlemen had a very unique friendship. One was an author, viewed as a industry of America. The other was a man, simple, humble man, an electrician who believed his ways could change this world. These two men were Mark Twain and Nikola Tesla. They were best friends. They had a lot of unique interests. They viewed each other's creativity to be very wonderful, and they fed off it constantly. Many times this was the basis of their friendship. One conversation came up between them where they said, what if there was something we could create to end all conflicts? And they knew it wouldn't be just a weapon, but it would be something that could go out there and support the good fight and change the tide whenever it could be. It would also be something that could think, could discover, could even create their own things. And that is when they made Ozymandias. Ozymandias is a robot. He was created by Nikola Tesla and Mark Twain to be pretty much the ultimate explorer, the ultimate scientist, and the ultimate force for good. He took part in World War I, World War II. He did not take place any war after that because he, in his own mind, felt that any war after World War II just wasn't benefiting anyone. So that's when he retired from being a soldier, and he started exploring the world, trying to find cryptids, new forms of technology. And it's not that he doesn't believe in magic. He knows it's out there. He's seen it happen before. But he is just a being of science, and because science created him. So that's him, yeah.
Wow. Does he, does he look human, or is this...
Oh, no, he doesn't look human, because that's the one thing they really couldn't perfect when they made him. So, like, he just pretty much looks like... He has no mouth. His body is made completely of metal. He has no mouth, but he has these really big, expressive lamp eyes, like spot-like eyes, you know? If you ever seen the comic Atomic Robo, like, his faces looks a lot like that, where, like, it's just a really expressive looking face, and like you don't see his mouth moving. He has like a little speaker that's inside of his head that produces what he wants to say, but his face is very expressive through his eyes, despite being a robot with no real like face.
Okay. Well, this immediately is going to give this a very particular flavor as this goes. But I'm perfectly fine with that.
This when Autumn said their character, I was like, yes.
I didn't realize we were going to have two robots. That's the thing. But that's fine. No, that's fine. I will say that this sort of I'm not hugely familiar with Atomic Robo. I know that's where where action scientists come from, and so I've seen a little bit of the RPG. But
I think like another great way like to really if you ever want to like, if you don't know Atomic Robo, another things would be like things like Johnny Quest or even the Venture Brothers are actually stuff like this. It's just basically think of any kind of character out there who just looks like they're ready to like fight and beat the crap out of someone, but they can turn around and build a laser that can control the weather at the drop of a hat.
Nice. Excellent. So I am looking forward to seeing how this goes.
And also read the book, The Five Fists of Science. That's where I got his background from.
The Five Fists of Science.
Yes, it is really cool. It's based about Mark Twain and Nikolai Tesla.
Oh my God.
Fighting the robber barons who are actually occultists of Cthulhu. It is really, really good.
I need to look that up
It's such a great comic.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Maybe that could be a reference to your next Call of Cthulhu game. Who knows?
Who knows? Who indeed knows? Awesome. Well, let's now. Well, that was a heck of an introduction. But now let us go on to Autumn and find out about Ori 6.
Yeah, so Ori 6 is a much different flavor of robot. They were originally created to help somebody who was researching the occult and the supernatural, but they were discarded as a failure and left to their own devices when it was discovered that Ori 6 doesn't really have a very strong connection to the occult. They don't really get it. Almost as little as they understand other people. And so they've just been wandering around, exploring the world, trying to understand and what it's like to be human. And to that end, they have made their appearance kind of as human as possible, despite the fact that they are made of kind of like exposed gear hidden under like fiberglass and like clear parts. They wear like combat pants and combat boots to try to hide any weird unnatural curves. They have this vaguely feminine shaped body, but more like store mannequin vague. And then plain t-shirt and a leather jacket with a hood that they keep pulled up over their exposed head. And they wear a black mask to cover the gears behind their face. And all you can see through it is their glowing like amber eyes. And I'm thinking less spotlight and more like Deus Ex kind of augmented eyes. And there's like this soft clicking sound whenever they talk.
Oh, nice. Okay. Cool. That sounds very cool. So it's very interesting. We're going to now have two very different flavors of robots. And I'm already creating headcanon in the back of my head about it's like two strains of robots. Where did they come from? And now we're going to, but let us head over to Lance and find out more about Sully.
Okay, Sullivan Pritchard started out as a pretty burnout youth. Didn't really have a path. Coming out of high school, he probably was going to end up in a dead-end job and end up nowhere, but his life took a turn, unfortunately, for the tragic. His best friend and his brother were both caught up in an occult that started with the football team. They both were on the football team. Sully was never that kind of dude. He was more of a just waste his life kind of guy. So when they called for him and said, "Hey, there's some really weird stuff going on. People are dying. Please come help us." So he said, "I'll check it out tomorrow." And when he showed up, well, people were dead. School was half burnt. He didn't know what happened. So Sully had a new path to follow. Sully started training with guns. He started going out at night. He started digging into what could have possibly happened at the school. And it's been 10 years since he started. He's 28 now. And he's experienced some things. Once you get in, you don't really get out.
Yeah.
So Sully, the first thing he knows about Sully is his eyes. His eyes show far more than a person his age should be able to show. There's a strange hurt there that I don't think can ever really be unmade. He's, the weight of grief lies on his shoulders, but in a way that it seems he's working through it. He's usually got a hand cannon strapped to his side and some beat up old jeans and a hoodie to mask his identity from anybody, with some body armor loosely fastened and he's just an old rider in his pickup truck.
Nice, and it's interesting because it's now seeing even just that there you have Sully wears sort of a mask of his own, as it were, as just having to that's the thing sort of sharing with Ori 6 is that like trying to kind of keep concealed, which is neat. That's very neat, very neat. Okay, very cool. I like this. All right, now let us find out more about Scarlet.
Yes, so we're gonna go back a little bit. So
Now another flashback. My challenge to you is: can you go back further than Nikola Tesla? That's the question.
Well, so her family, the Underwood family, has been part of this like occult sect for like the past 5 to 6 generations. So what she knows, quote unquote, what she does know about how her family kind of got involved with that was that her ancestor was looking through some was at a library wanting to learn more about the world from books and maps or whatever, and then he comes upon this book that he probably shouldn't have found, which was kind of a bit of a scale that could have almost exposed the sect for who they really were instead of just regular librarians. So they told this ancestor that they had to join the sect or something bad would happen to the whole Underwood family line. So to keep this going for the next 5 to 6 generations, one member of the Underwood family had to join this sect, or else something bad would happen. So Scarlet was when she was about 16 to 17 years old. She was chosen by the sect to be their member, and she knew that she had no choice to accept it, so she did. And it turns out when she started studying under them that she has an attunement to the magic, to occult and magic. So she decided she wanted to learn more about magic. And for her looks, she is female, obviously, her. And her entire left arm is full of these like occult symbol tattoos, which kind of like act as like her way of using magic. And she also has a bit of like medium length red hair, green eyes, a little bit of freckles, who wears a bit of formal clothing, something that's kind of like ceremonial-ish, but not in a way that is more or less obvious to the outside world.
Cool, very cool. All right. Now, finally, let us head over to Drew and find out more about V.
So V's a magic robot.
Another robot?
No, she really. So V's real name is Vera. It's Vera Wong. Her family immigrated to the States after World War II. Her parents were really big in the 80s, worked hard, partied hard, and actually had kids late in life. She's got 2 older siblings that she has no attachment to. They are pretty and vapid, and that is not V. She's very smart, but she is completely disassociated from everything else that's going on with her home life. She spends a lot more time with her grandmother than she does with anybody else. Doesn't have a lot of friends in high school, but Grandma introduced her to mystery novels, and she really likes them. And so when she isn't with her home, she's spending time with her grandmother, reading mystery books, listening to Frank Sinatra. And about a year ago, she started helping out people in her high school, with problems that were happening in the town. Nothing supernatural about her. She's just a smart kid who just dislikes bullies and likes helping people. But she doesn't really feel comfortable in her own skin, too. She spends a lot of time up there. Hates the fact that she's named after Vera Wang. Just hates it.
What you gonna do? Very cool. Very cool. Excellent. All right. So this is very. So obviously these are all very, very sort of disparate characters, but we are now going to find ways to through the wonders of backstory questions, of history questions, to bind them together, and discover how it is that they ended up doing the monster hunting thing. Let's see. I think what we're gonna do, as I'm going around here, just want to look here. Histories. All right. It says basically. So when we go around, it says when it's your turn, pick one for each of the other hunters. So I was kind of torn as to whether to do like just one at a time, one pick at a time, basically go person to person to person to person, and that might actually, or doing like all at once. But I think we're going to try just we'll see if to give folks time to think as this web goes through. We're going to start out trying just one at a time, and then we'll if the currents of the conversation take us in another direction, we'll go there. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and start again with Wally. You've got a number of possible history hookups here.
I do.
So go ahead and pick one. And let me know who you might like to have it with, or we can ask around if you don't have a candidate yet.
So I have quite a few. I like one that pretty much sticks out in my mind though. So I like to think that I think for Just Buddies. So I have one that says Just Buddies, you get along well when it's time to relax after all the monsters have been dealt with. I actually want that to be for V.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it's more of a thing where it's less of a where they're buddies. It's like if there was like some kind of like pulp novel, like V is Ozzy's like plucky young sidekick, but not like the plucky young sidekick, hey, I send you like it's over there while I do this. More like he views them as equals in intelligence and everything, because yeah, they have been solving mysteries and they're super young, so he really respects them for that.
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah.
All right. So since Ozzy's been around for a while, clearly Ozzy was the inspiration for a pulp novel that she's read.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In the past.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. So she actually like maybe found Ozzy, or when they found each other, recognized him as the inspiration from some novel. Maybe there's a novelist that maybe ties in several of our characters' back paths.
Yeah.
That has been writing about this world, and we're all a part of that. Let me ask you this: does Ozzy like to bowl?
Ozzy, all right, so thing is, Ozzy, like you said, he's lived a very long life, so there's a lot of things he likes to do. So yes, he would definitely enjoy bowling.
Okay, cool. Bowling buddy, got it. That's all my history.
It's very much like because he's done so many wild things, he embraces the more like simplistic hobbies that are out there.
Sure.
Excellent. Well,
and one day I'll beat you.
We're back to the bowling.
Yeah, we returned to the bowling tradition.
The bowling pin mafia's back, baby.
Awesome. That's great. No, that's good.
We already know who the leader of this mafia is. It's the Kingpin.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
I have made a terrible, terrible mistake. No. All right, no. So let's. No, that's very cool. That's very cool, and I kind of like that idea. That you sort of like, sort of found.
Because it's like he's been around in all those wars. They're probably and like there's probably wasn't one person who fought there and then afterwards wrote a story or wrote a comic about it, because it was just really interesting to see, like a robot fighting along the side of these American soldiers.
It's sort of like the way we would think of Captain America prior to the Avengers, where oh no, that's just a myth. He's just a comic book character. Yeah. Oh no, he's real. Oh wow. Okay.
Nice. The thing is, like, Ozzy's like super humble about it. So whenever someone recognizes him, because they recognize him from either like history books or these comic books, he's like, "Yep, that was me," and he just like rolls with it. Because it's like when someone reminds you, like, "Yeah, you weren't you there?" Like, "Yeah, I was there." Yeah, that's it.
Awesome, I love it. So let's head over again to Ori 6. Again, you've got a number of possible choices under there for history, and is there one you want to explore with someone?
I do have one. It's somebody that I'm a bit suspicious of, and I feel like given Ori's history of being thrown out by somebody who researched the arcane, she would be mildly suspicious of Scarlet and her motivations.
Yeah.
Especially if they've worked together before, because all Ori wants is to be useful, and she is wary and fears people who might just kick her out again due to her lack of understanding of the thing that she was built to understand.
I have to wonder if Scarlet's sect might have had anything of a hand in...
I actually was thinking that there is something in here.
That could be possible. Very possible.
I can't do that when it's my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that that totally works, because I feel like there's a deeper connection there, just bubbling under the surface, waiting to leap out, and and dash all over the plot line. Such a wherever it is.
All over the wall.
Yes, that's right. Awesome. No, that's cool. No, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, we'll head on over to Sully. What's one of your questions, and who do you want to throw it at? If we've got somebody.
I like the last one, because I just think that'll be fun to put in the story. They saw you absolutely lose and go berserk. Tell them what the situation was and ask them how much collateral damage you caused. And I think, I want to be my my partner for that. I think I want it to be V. How do you feel about seeing me absolutely lose my mind and destroy something?
I like it because one of mine is you caught them committing a crime, but I didn't report you. The question is, why didn't I report you? And it must have been because your crime goes along with my detective's code, which is bullies can suck it. So what is it that you did?
Okay. So I don't know what monsters I can name drop.
Oh no, we can. It's but very open right now.
I was gonna say, maybe you have the classic school jock who's like really buff and like really popular, and I saw him pushing the kid around, and I realized that jock was actually a vampire's like basically thrall.
Oh yeah.
So I got pretty aggressive when he wasn't forthcoming with the information.
Can I ask you this then? If we're from the same town, we went to the same high school.
Oh.
But I went to I'm so much younger than you. I must have gone to the high school after it had been trashed and they rebuilt it. So you're literally old school compared to my new school. Yes? Same high school?
Yeah, I'm the crazy old man from yeah, it's not like how it used to be.
I ever since you named your detective's code Bullies Can Suck It, I really feel like, because there was a time during the 80s when Ozzy's likeness was used for anti-bully campaigns.
Bullies can suck it.
It was like one of those it was like one of those Saturday morning cartoon style commercials.
Oh my god! Yes.
Wait, there's
by Nancy Reagan.
Yeah, and it was just him saying bullies can suck it. And Ozzy looks back and is like, I really don't remember agreeing to any of this.
Hey man,
wait,
I got a poster of you up in my locker.
There's another small part to this. I'm supposed to ask you, V, how much collateral damage did I cause?
A lot. And I think not only did you cause a lot of collateral damage, I think when I agreed not to report you, I took it upon myself to help you repair that damage. So you owe somebody, and because we know each other, I now owe somebody. And that's like, by letting you go, I have to take it upon myself to right that wrong. So maybe we owe somebody a favor.
Oh, true.
Interesting.
Okay. I see the plot hooks coming in.
Yeah,
Nice.
plot hooks.
Yes.
When game masters play.
Yes.
This is exactly it. That's what, like, I feel like Power of the Apocalypse games are basically games that DMs play with each other. Not what players play with each other. DMs play these games with each other.
Yeah, basically. In many ways.
That's basically Power of the Apocalypse. We just make plot hooks.
That's all it is.
Yes.
So many.
Yes, I love this description.
Well, let's go ahead and head on then to for Gillian, one of your history things for Scarlet.
Mine is for Ori 6 because it has connection to what she told me.
Okay.
Is that an ex-member of the sect, but still friends, asked them why they left or got thrown out.
Ooh.
So I definitely got tossed out with the trash after they successfully managed to animate me. But the way that, in a non-meta way, my stats rolled up. But in this sense, I was supposed to help them uncover secrets of the arcane and the supernatural, and it turns out that I was better at swinging a sword, and I might have broken some things. And so they threw me out. And decided that they were going to try again and create Ori 7, supposedly, who would hopefully be more useful and more functional.
I think we're on Ori 9 right now.
It could be.
I feel less bad about myself.
Oh, yes. Hang on, I just have to make a quick note about Ori's 7 through X. Awesome. Excellent. And so over to Drew. I think we already kind of touched on this a little bit, but we can expound upon it further if you like. Did you want to pick Sully for one of your history thingy?
I mean, I can do that. I've got more that I think will tie in really well.
Yeah, I think for this, for this round, so that we don't forget, are there any other details you wanted to add to that one?
For Sully's?
Yeah.
We don't know where we're playing yet. We don't know the
Not yet. We're gonna
city.
figure
I'm
it
just
out.
trying to think of like a business. Yeah, I think he did so much damage, and I was witness and didn't blab that we've been secretly helping somebody. Once we find out where we are, we'll figure out maybe who it is, whether it's delivering groceries or repairing something or secretly protecting them from some unknown threat, something along those lines.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Which one of the which one? Just so that I'll have it up. I'm looking at the your history sheet right now. Which one of the bullet points is it that we're using for that one?
Oh, I see. You're not further on his. So in underneath history, the second one is you caught them committing a crime, but I let them go. So ask them to describe the crime. They've done so. When you explain why your code required you to look the other way.
Okay.
So it was essentially did a crime, but bullies can suck it. So.
Yeah.
Bullies can suck it.
I feel like this is going to become a tagline throughout the entire thing.
This is going to be a tagline. This month's mini campaign is brought to you by this message. Bullies can suck it.
Yeah, until the bullies turn out to be vampires, and then we're all kind of
well, then
screwed,
they
right?
can literally suck it.
Was there?
Or just stab them with a stake. Or just douse holy water on them.
Was there an example of kind of bullying that you saw exhibited specifically by these vampires that you think that sort of would have triggered that for you in your code?
I think the code is essentially those with power. I just don't like the abuse of power, and so I think vampires, by their very nature, are sort of in that sense. But I think what happened was I thought they were actually mundane. I thought they were just being bullies, and so when I went to intercede, the investigation uncovered the fact that there was something more to it. Maybe that's V's introduction into the world of the supernatural. At that point in time, it was just, really expensive clothing and skateboarding and bad music. But now there's something else to be terrified of.
Yeah, and that's vampires that can literally suck it.
Well, yeah, and that could explain why you were there to witness it when Sully took one out.
Yeah,
basically. So it's like, okay, these are vampires. But we're not going to say anything because they can suck it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, 100-year-old robots, no problem. Vampires, that's weird, dude.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. Okay. Good. So we're going to come back around then to Wally. And do you have another connection under
yes,
action scientist you'd like to
do.
use?
There is one that says they once they helped you deal with an experiment that got out of hand. So this is what I think what it was. So at Sully's high school, you came across the vampires, right? And you just unleashed rage on them. Okay.
Oh yes.
What if the vampires was an experiment that got out of hand? So he heard about someone artificially making vampires in the town. So he went to go see it in action, like see it for himself. Patient Zero, like the guinea pig Zero, got out of the lab, and it just went under the guise as a teenager at your school, as someone on the football team kind of thing. They saw the football team there, they grabbed a jersey and just like blended in with the crowd kind of thing, and then it just got too much for them to like hold back this like hunger they were having. That's when like that big thing happened, and in the process, like he didn't realize that he was turning people into vampires at the same time while feeding, because it was like, I think it was less of like the vampire's curse, but more like a vampiric disease that was created.
So it's kind of a Morbius situation.
Yeah, kind of like that.
It's a virus in a way. Once they like someone they're infected, then they turn into zombies, and it just goes further and further.
Yeah, it wasn't like it wasn't true vampires. They were trying to create like a vampire, like a disease of vampirism in a lab to use as a weapon. And Ozzy was like, I really don't like this. He even said out loud, like, this is really gonna suck, because he has a chance of making really corny jokes. Because why? He is over 80 years old, guys.
Yeah.
This is bioterrorism right here. This is bioterrorism.
200 years old, all right? So he's gonna make a lot of bad jokes.
Like, literally. This is
That's
bioterrorism right here.
It is.
But
it is.
He went to Sully's school the day that happened, and he always feels bad that he never really was able to really help the team, and that's like something he always feels bad about. So he's always reaching out to Sully to make sure that Sully's okay.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that's really sweet.
And you decide how you helped me sort it out.
Okay. Well, I'm supposing maybe you got into a bad spot while coming to, right this wrong, and Sully basically just helped you put him down so you could both get out of there.
Yeah. I think it was like he he was about to pretty much get attacked by these vampires, but Sully just came in and came with the assist, and he kind of like saw that Sully was aching, and he's like, "Come on, let's handle this," kind of thing. Like he heard you explained his story, you explained your story, and like Sully was like, and like Ozzy was like, "All right, let's handle this," and they pretty much they were both key integral pieces to ending it. And I think like going like after that, like he constantly checks in on Sully, like all the time.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. I love this. Okay, cool. So now we're going to go back over to Ori to find out what's the next one you want to throw at somebody.
Okay. I don't know, because there's two that like almost could be the same, and I'm gonna throw it towards Ozzy because
Okay.
we're both constructs.
Okay.
In some description, and it's either good friends or treats you like a pet, fondly but dismissive. And I feel like either of those could go because she's very, like, in terms of being a construct, like quite young and on this quest for humanity, which I could see Ozzy just being like, pat, that's cute.
They're definitely good friends. I feel like they would be good friends. It's like because being is that he was made as like a robot, but just living so long, kind of like he knows he's not human, but it's like he definitely wants Ori to be at the same. He really wants Ori to feel the same that he feels, as like, look, yeah, you're not human, but that's really great that you're not human.
Right.
And so in all those moments of whenever Ori is beating herself up, he's like, "Oh, come here, you!" And just like, pets her on the head, like, "Oh, no, you're wonderful, you're special, and you're great."
Oh,
This is amazing. I
So
accept that.
wholesome.
That's
So
so
wholesome.
cute. That's so
We're here
cute.
for wholesome robots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. And actually, it also, I think, says so you can Autumn, so you can tell them if it's from way back or recently. So you get to
feel
kind
like-
of decide what it was.
Pretty far back, because I feel like she would have gone looking for like other robots or maybe not, because she doesn't deal well with humans. She doesn't understand humans. So I feel like as soon as she got kicked out of the sect, she would have hauled herself to somewhere that felt accepting. So moderately back.
Maybe because his like because Ozzy is pretty well known. She saw like a poster about him.
Yeah.
And she was like, I need to find him.
Yeah, exactly.
About how do you know about how old Ori might be? About how long ago this happened? Because you're a robot. You could have been around for quite a while.
Yeah, I feel like she was probably around the sect for probably 20 or 30 years before they figured out that this just wasn't going to work. Because I feel like they would have just gone through iterations of trying to fix her. And then, so she's probably in the 50-year-old range. But about half of her life was spent in the sect, and she's still adjusting to life outside of it.
Okay.
So how long ago did she leave the sect?
So she was kicked out about 20 years ago, probably.
Okay.
So
like
so
in the
work
90s,
with me.
basically.
So how about this? Ori doesn't view Ozzy like this, but Ozzy 100% views Ori as his daughter, kind of thing, because she is much younger than much younger than him, and he just really wants the best for her. So he totally views. So he will introduce Ori as his daughter. He totally introduces Ori as his daughter all the time.
And Ori is just kind of really awkward and has this awkward teenage vibe where she's like, "You're not my real dad." What does that even mean? He has no concept of what family actually is.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's why do you keep saying that? What does that stand for?
What does this acronym DAD stand for?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. I am so looking forward to this.
Oh man, because really this all started because someone in the chat said, "Is Ozzy the group dad?"
Oh, there we go.
I I saw that.
It's canon.
It's totally
Canon.
Canon.
Yes.
Awesome.
Ozzy's now the group dad. We got it, guys. We got a family. This is now a family of hunters. From now on, just in an episode of Supernatural. Congratulations, Dad.
Does that mean the teenage girl is the mom? Because that's going to be odd.
It's going to be so strange and awkward. But now let's head back over to Sully. You've got another. What's the next item under history you want to throw at somebody?
Ollie?
Maybe frozen. Oh dear.
So
We just lost him for a second.
What?
We
No.
lost Lance.
Oh, there we go.
Hey. Hi, how's it going? Sorry. Yeah.
I'm back.
You're back.
Yeah, you're
good.
good.
Back. We got you. We got you.
You good? You good?
Scaring me there.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, what history bullet point do you want to sort of hook up to somebody here?
Okay, so Sully's not really an astute guy when it comes to magic, so I think I'm going to latch on to Gillian for that. You respect their hard-earned knowledge and often come to them for advice. So we connected because Sully really needs to know something about magic, maybe like tracking down some witch, and he's like, what is this? What is this magic barrier that's stopping me from following this person? Help me.
Nice.
Yeah.
That works well, because
Yeah, that does work well because I am a magic user, so that would come in handy.
Yeah.
So now I would know a lot about barriers.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So yeah, and so regularly is probably just something that you've been going to for. Okay.
Yeah.
And I wonder, was there a? Do you think, Lance? Do you think there was a particular incident where that started? Was there a particular something surrounded by a magic barrier or something, or some sort of sorcerer's thing that happened that you have a thought about that you might have fought?
I don't know what exactly, but I think Sully was probably basically on the case. It was all going normally. He finally gets to his main target, pulls out the hand cannon. Okay, bang bang, this is gonna be easy. And then all of a sudden gets hit by a fireball, and he what? Then gets hit by another fireball, and he's like, what is happening? What is happening here? Totally outmatched by magic. So at that point, he's like, I gotta find someone to help me
Yeah.
with this.
So it could have been some kind of a. Did you eventually? Do you think you eventually caught them, whoever it was, after you got Scarlet's help?
I mean, I think maybe because it was a new partnership, we might have fought that, but they disappeared.
Okay, so there is a witch or a wizard or some sorcerer or other out there, possibly, whom you had to deal
Sully
with.
was not happy about that.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. So, Gillian, do you have another item under the initiate playbook that you would like to for history?
Yeah, so this one is for the group dad. So we've met researching some mystical weirdness, and we've been occult comrades ever since.
Yes, so there was one point where he had a library. He was working at a library for a couple of years as a librarian, and it was probably you came into that library asking about research about something magical, and because he was just working there as part of I just like doing mundane things as a contrast to my real life, he helped you out, and then that's when you realized that there was definitely way more to this. Hey, there's a robot librarian here.
I feel like as we're just you just hand me the book and was I just look at you and say thank you and say, oh hey, are you a robot?
Yeah, and I'm and he was just indeed, I am a robot. Now, do you need more help looking up this subject? Because I can help you with that.
Wait, what?
So I think and yeah, he's super nonchalant about it, and he really he helped advise her on like basically how to fix this problem, and I think that maybe she reaches out to them a lot as like their monster hunting, like not advisor, but just like when they need that extra little bit of knowledge kind of thing.
Yeah, because I could always use something outside the sect for my expertise.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of mystical weirdness you were researching.
That's a secret.
It's a secret. You're not going to tell me? I need prompts.
He's called the Keeper for a reason.
Supposed to keep your secrets.
Dang it.
Bring them all in. Bring them all in.
How can I drain you for material if you don't? Okay. Anyway.
That's an occult secret.
So it was something. So it might have been something then related to your cult then that you couldn't talk about. Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's occult classified.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're calling it. Occult classified.
Occult classified. Yeah. That works. All right. And now back over to V. Do you have another history bullet point you'd like to throw at someone?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. So I have one that says, you tried to hire me, but I was too wasted to help. I'm going to throw that. I think I'm going to throw that over to Scarlet. I don't know why you would want to hire the teenage girl to solve some problems, but I was going through a bad patch for one reason or another, and I was unable to help you. So the next question is, what exactly is it that you needed help with, and how badly did I blow you off?
So...
Should I assume you both went to the same high school at the same time? Is that
No.
kind of what we're looking at here?
Everyone just froze up on me.
Oh, are we back? Because we can see you.
Yes.
Oh my god,
cool.
I love this. Are ancient texts considered occult classics?
They might be. Who knows? So.
Okay, alright, so...
Okay, first off, are we good? Can
Yeah.
you... Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
okay.
So I didn't hear the response. So I don't.
That's because I haven't said it yet.
Oh, gotcha. Everything
Yes.
just went.
Yeah, that's because I was like looking at a pun someone made. It was really good.
Okay.
I'm gonna steal that. So, long story short, Scarlet is the only person in her sect that knows that something, a very specific item in her sect, quote unquote, got stolen and no one has figured it out yet. And she knows that, like, if they find out that something disappeared and Scarlet was the only person to know, she's in a lot of shit. So, she knew that V was a detective of some sort and decided to ask her for help in finding something. But when she went over to her after school, she found that, like, V was, like, wasted drunk with, like, piles of bottles of beer all over the floor. And, like, literally, what really made blew up, I can't word today. What really, like, how V blew her off was, like, as she was trying to get you to listen to her and focus as she was trying to talk to me, she kind of threw up on my shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I have
Don't
been
come back
there.
from that one.
Hey.
So I have some questions. So I'm going to presume that the two of you go to the same high school. So that probably is an easy enough connection there. Is sort of how you know each other initially.
So you're young too. Gotcha. All right.
I'm
Yeah.
young too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. I may have missed that one.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Drama.
Yes. And
She might have also put a card for Alcoholics Anonymous when you passed out
well,
after throwing up.
I'm wondering. I'm just wondering a couple of things. First of all, Scarlet, something went missing. Did it? Was this like a book or an artifact or something like that?
Yes, it was an artifact. It was a very powerful artifact that like Scarlet knows about it, but only like very vague details because it's only for like the top tier members of the sect to know its full power. And she kind of accidentally stumbled upon the empty display case for it when she wasn't supposed to. So she
Okay.
knows it's missing.
Excellent. So, do you have and it's okay if you don't know this right now, but by any chance, do you have any idea sort of what sort of form this artifact takes, what it looks like, or?
I don't know yet. No.
Okay, no, that's perfectly fine. But there's a powerful, and I think the other question is, did you ever find it? Is it still missing, or did you locate it?
It's still missing.
Still missing. All right. Excellent.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Can
good. This can
can I-
only end
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Can I throw something out there? I think V's too wasted to help find it, but once she recovered, she was probably smart enough to figure out how to cover up the disappearance. So maybe only the two of us know that it's still gone, but we figured out a way to like hide that fact from everybody.
Oh,
else.
cool. That sounds great. That sounds
Which means
very good.
now I can get in trouble along with you. Yay!
And you're also
V
getting in trouble.
Is really racking them up.
Teammates.
So, another question that I have for is V, who is your hookup for beer?
It's definitely not Ozzy.
It's Sully. Yeah.
Okay, alright, so now we have
Yep.
the dad, the drunk, and the bad influence there.
So it's pretty much Ozzy's the dad. Yes, 100% dad. Sully is the is that uncle that like, oh, your uncle's gonna be here. That's who Sully is.
Yeah. And I don't think V's really tempted to repeat that experience. I think just Scarlet just turned to her on that day where it just was bad timing for everybody.
Yeah.
Did like after the whole thing was over, she turned to her picture. She turned to her one of her posters of Ozzy's like, "I failed you."
Oh my god. Well, it's something actually I'm curious about also, and again, you don't have to have the answer right now necessarily, but for Drew, I'm wondering what sent V on that bender in the first place.
Almost without
What
fail,
happened?
it's going to be family.
Yeah.
It's going to be a family issue with her parents and their expectations versus the reality of who she is as a person. Yeah.
What do they want? What do they want for her? If we have, oh damn, we've lost you again.
Oh, there is some weird sound there now.
Yeah. Internet.
What is happening?
Okay, I think we got you back now.
Yeah. No
Cool,
idea
cool.
what's going on. So.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I mean, this happens. Also, a lot of people are discovering Zoom these days, so that also could have something to do with it. Could be the servers there. But
sure.
I'm just wondering if what can you remind me what it is that your parents want you to do versus what it is that you want to do? Were you able to hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I
okay,
think
okay.
I think it's probably has something to do with oh, you know what it is? They want to put Mimi in a home. They want to put my grandmother in a home, and I thought neither one of us. And I think my grandmother Mimi is my confidant. I think I tell her everything because she likes mysteries. She sometimes acts as a third party, as a sounding board.
Yeah.
And I think she's gone from being someone who probably just reads books and watches TV all the time to now living vicariously through me.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the parents are trying to win me back by getting rid of that distracting influence, even though
no.
I don't think they actually want me back. I think something probably higher up in a business is like, Yeah, you know what I like about you? You're family folk. Family folk are always important. Why don't you bring that daughter around sometime and, we'll have a nice family meal? And I'm like, nope, I'm going to go solve mysteries and fight vampires. So
I have to wonder if your grandmother actually, back in her day, did something similar. If she was like a detective or something.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I wonder if she...
Oh.
Okay.
I see a possible other connection here.
Jim knows what I'm about to say.
Yes.
All right, Drew, come play into my space for a bit. Just play in my space for a bit. What if V's Mima was like this super spy that handled occult stuff, and she was Ozzy's like foil, his romantic interest in everything?
Whoa.
How's that sound? How's that sound? Where like they had a very deep relationship, and they were like even romantic interest for a bit, but their two lives couldn't intercede, so it never really happened. And that's why also Ozzy took a shining to V to begin with, because he looked at V and he saw that same twinkle in her eyes that her Mima has.
All right. I got most of that. And let me bounce something off on you and see what you think. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. When V explains things to her grandmother, she explains it from her point of view, but doesn't tell her grandmother about any of the rest of you to protect her. Yeah. So the grandmother is not saying anything about you.
Yeah.
Because she wants to protect her. And so if this is going on, I'm fine with that. Neither one of them are aware that this world is even connected. And I have definitely not brought you over for tea, right? So yes. There's definitely a potential for that in later in an episode.
Oh yeah. And
this is like, unresolved. Yeah.
Because it's like V wasn't want her Mima to know what she's doing. Mm-hmm. But her grandma's like, I'm not dumb. I know what you're doing, but it looks like you're trying so hard to protect me from it. I'm gonna do the same to you.
Yeah, I mean, she explains there were bad guys, and I helped fix things, and not I killed the vampires with some robots. Yeah, that kind of a thing.
Right? It was like that, and heaven help V the day she mentions Ozzy by accident or something.
Let me ask you this: what is your power supply?
See,
are you like spewing steam?
No,
or is it some like?
That's the interest, because it's Nikola Tesla. You knew.
Sure, of course.
He messed with stuff.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you were the only prototype where he was able to finally get wireless electricity going.
Yeah. It's like some kind of like black box that he has as his power source, and it's like pretty much the one time Nikola Tesla created wireless electricity, and that what he does is his power source, he just draws in like constant like forms of like electricity in the air. Like it used to be that he had to rest his hand on like something that was electricity and he could charge himself, but as he was able to like refine the technology in his body, he was able to, it's like, I can just ambiently draw in electricity in the airwaves around me to power me up.
Can he be powered by Wi-Fi?
Yes, he can be powered by Wi-Fi if he wants to be.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where he can power by Wi-Fi. And the reason why he doesn't share this information to his power source to the public is because of what Thomas Edison did. And he's never appreciated what Thomas Edison did, that Thomas Edison came out above his own dad. And it's more so like he took what his father created and commercialized it in such a way that it cannot be developed any further. So he has a really big gripe towards Thomas Edison and like the energy companies.
I don't want to step on Jim's toes. I mean, I want to step on Jim's toes, but I'm just saying the cult of Edison and their quest to remove that black box from your body would certainly be a fun little something to explore in the future.
I feel that's definitely a villain he has fought in the past is the Cult of Edison.
Well, there we go. Writing that down.
ACVDC.
Yep.
Yes.
And that, oh man, that just leads into one of my other questions.
Yeah, well, we're back over to you. This is round 3.
So there is a question that says, I'll bring it up. Where is it?
Your history here? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you have been friends ever since you had a science adventure a while ago. Tell them what evil science nemesis you defeated together. I think that is what sent their partnership from, hey, cool robot in the library that I talked to, to you're someone I can trust with all this. So you came to the library one day, I'm thinking like after like hours, and you caught him in the middle of fighting the Edison cult, the Cult of Edison, and they got the jump on him, and they pretty much were able to cut himself from his constant power source, and they were about to dismantle him, but you jumped in and you like pretty much saved his life. And so he's always looked to you as someone he can trust now.
Oh my god, we have a cult. There's a cult of Thomas Edison. This is great.
Yes, there is. And
I
they
like-
take credit for everything, regardless of whether they actually did the work or not.
Yep. Yep.
But anyway.
They wanted to take credit for building Aussie. So that's why
they want to commercialize his technology.
Yeah.
Is what they want to do.
I stopped
And
the
yes.
Edison scandal.
And yes,
I'm
100%, Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla is played by David Bowie in this, because
Well, yeah, I mean, as is right and proper.
as is right and proper.
But I can imagine this cult being like one of those very sort of sinister, subtle cults with a lot of very powerful people in it. Who basically just every now, it's like they're highly placed in governments and in businesses and other places.
Capitalist cult.
But yeah, in many ways, yes, basically. And then every now and then they, like every month, they get together and have their eyes wide shut meeting. And and so, it's just very important.
And it's like, I think like members of the cult are pretty much, it's like a cult of capitalism. And like the members of the cult are currently like, who are like, if you read like the top 10 billionaires in the world, 7 of them are probably in that cult.
Yep.
I like how you described them as being currently in the cult.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
I stopped capitalism.
Well, I mean, it's a thing. Well, let's now head over once again to Ori and find out who you want to throw your third history question at.
Okay, I might throw this one to V, actually.
Yes.
And it's they are the first one who treated you like a person instead of a thing. Ask them what you did that made them think of you that way.
Ooh.
Okay. So perfect, because my next one is designed completely for you. And so the idea is that you've met on an unsolved crimes website and decide together what infamous crime fascinates you. I think we just met. We didn't meet face to face. We met through the internet, and so we form a relationship with one another just through words, and that's kind of what's important. Like, I think V is very self-conscious about who she is and who her family is, and doesn't like her and doesn't feel good about herself. Mm-hmm. And I think you probably have some very similar attitudes towards that. So I think this back and forth that we have, it's sort of like when you meet an internet friend for the first time, before we had webcams and everything.
Yep.
And I think you had described yourself as being almost like a teenager. And I think you're a teenager who's much older than a teenager and certainly more mature in many, many ways. And I think V finds herself physically a teenager, but mentally much more than that. And I think what we've got is sort of a kind of a connection in that same way. I think maybe she sometimes thinks of herself as being a robot, like that she's a brain just in a casing that she doesn't really enjoy. and I think maybe the two of us found sort of solace in that aspect.
Yes, I like that. Absolutely.
Oh, I
That's
really
neat.
like that.
That's very cool. No, that's absolutely. I have no follow-up questions for that one necessarily. Actually, I do have a follow-up question, but I'm gonna wait until I get to V because there's because it's more about. Well, I'll ask it now because I'll forget later. Was there anything particular about this website? What was it like? Just a sort of a Facebook type thing, or was it more of a
So
a
this
private
actually-
web thing? Do we think, or do we want to wait until I come to you because this is part of your own bullet point?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll remember then because we'll come back to you. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Excellent. And how long has Ori been doing that sort of going online and just sort of looking and chatting with people? Do you think?
I feel like that would have been once she figured out what the internet was, and I think that's like the first place she would have gone to try to figure out how to blend in with human society.
Yeah.
And like how to interact with other humans. And she uses the excuse of tone does not convey over the internet for why she sounds so weird.
And it's an interesting thing because the internet itself, you could have been. Technically, it's been around as long as Ori has. If you're only like 50 years old, but it's it was like at colleges basically. So I don't know if were you connected to it even back then, or was it more when it became more popular?
I think it was more when it became more
onward.
popular, like when I could access it in like a public library.
Yeah.
Because I imagine her kind of having like this hideout somewhere where she lives, but she's in a bit of a transient lifestyle. It's hard to rent an apartment as a robot,
That's
Oh
fair.
no, Ozzy would have made sure that you got an apartment.
I have an apartment now.
Okay.
He would have
but
made. Oh no,
originally-
he will not make sure his precious daughter is living in squalor.
Well, see the thing, there are
I now
certain
have
things.
this headcanon, too, that we met at the library that Ozzy worked at. And I was going in there to use the internet.
Yes!
And I just was like, wait, a robot! And that's
like
now
it.
how I know Scarlet as well.
I like to think like the whole time when she was on the computer using the internet, you just kind of see like Ozzy pass by in the background constantly watching her.
And then he finally figures out that she lives in like a hovel in a boarding house somewhere, and he's like, no. No,
Like,
no.
no,
This isn't how this
no.
works."
This is not how this works at all.
So I feel like it's one of like the earliest, one of the earliest lessons. Is like, okay, here's how you get a social security number, type deal. Go to a graveyard, find someone who'd be about as old as you look right now. No, wait, okay. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you how to do that because that's for you to find out on your own. Anyway, so now we go over to. We go back over to Sully for your third history question. Who do you want to throw that at?
Oh, okay. So me and Ozzy are connected from his side, but from my side, I'm gonna say that Sully doesn't trust so easy. So maybe there was some tension before we fully, got to be actual like acquaintances, friends. So they stood between you and what you needed to find out. Ask them why. Why would you stand in the way of my revenge?
Because I'm not a big fan. I've never been a fan of violence with a source of hate. That's why he stood out of the Vietnam. That's why he stood out. That's why he chose to stay away as a part of the military during that time. And he got into a lot of trouble for it because he was in both World War I, World War II. But then when Vietnam War happened, he was like, no, I refuse to be in a war based on hate. And that is a quality he really believes in. So I think that because of Sully's like thirst for revenge, he was really like, no, we cannot do this because you are just angry at them. There is like a chance you can preserve them and put them someplace where they can be safe, but to outright kill them shouldn't be an end game. And that's what he was trying to like stop it away. But I think like the more they investigated it, they realized like not even though what may seem like as a possibility of saving someone, sometimes monsters need to be put down.
Okay. Yeah, I really like that. So Sully's basically just been a ball of as he's gotten, this little group together, they kind of remind him to be focused on other things than that, and maybe starting to become more of a I won't let this control me, but these things still need to be put down.
Yeah.
What
He learned a lot from Sully in that, like, he learned that sometimes they just need to be put down. Because as a scientist, he always wants to research. He wants to discover why they're like this. But he learned from Sully that some monsters are just monsters, and we can't reason with them at times.
Yeah.
And it's something he doesn't enjoy, but it was a lesson he had to learn, and he learned that from Sully.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense. Sully, what do you think you were after at the time, or what kind of thing?
I think to make this a little more dramatic is Sully was probably chasing something that didn't actually lead anywhere. It was a false lead made to throw him off. So all this tension with Ozzy, and maybe they got into a serious spat, was for nothing. Like maybe, he got away from Ozzy, he tracked it down, starts going through the place, only to realize there's nothing even here for you.
It could have been something where it's like these are just. It could have been something where it looked like it was a monster, but it was actually just messed up people.
Yeah, just somebody
like
horrible.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, this needs to be dealt with, but at the same time, this isn't.
This needs to be dealt with, but maybe not by me.
Yeah. There are people who
almost killed these guys.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
It's that moment where he maybe he's smacking someone around and hits him a few times and he's like, come on, transform, what's going on? And he has this moment where it's just like they're just human.
Oh my god, that's
and he
great.
Has to reevaluate. He has to reevaluate himself because he's like, how far am I willing to go to do this?
Yeah.
Can I throw something in there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a behavior that V will absolutely not tolerate if he is bullying real people, like to that extent. Especially, if he makes that mistake, sometimes maybe Sully, in the pursuit of advancing his vengeance, maybe takes it a little too far. And I think V might be one of the ones who can calm him down. Like that's sort of their relationship in the first place. Like I saw what he did, and it was justified and helped. But there's going to be times where it's not, and that's when she's definitely going to, I think she's a pretty quiet person, but I think she'll definitely step up when she sees that kind of behavior.
I love these dynamics so much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Good. Awesome. So it was like you were chasing, you thought they were like possibly more vampires or possibly werewolves or something, and it was just like, nope. Humans. Awesome.
Nope, just shitty humans.
They did not transform. Okay, cool. So now back over to Scarlet for your third question.
So this one is actually for Sully, because I was gonna go for something else, but then as I thought about this other one, I thought this was more Sully. So Sully is described in the prophecies, but the role they will play isn't stated.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's something on me right there. Let's go. Let's go, baby, go. I'm ready.
So, what kind of, since the role that they play is not stated, what kind of prophecy is this, do we think?
So when Scarlet first started going to that same high school as V is going, like she realizes from research and just like looking around at the school herself that there was like something that happened 10 years that there was this, and she started to like, she thought that was very strange, so she looked into it herself just in case. Turned out when she found out that half the school burned, there was a massacre of students. Sorry. Yeah, so after she found out everyone was massacred, she decided to go, when she went back to her sect, to look through some books that she found of prophecies that some of the higher magic users of her sect have done, and looked through some of their journals, and she found the same events that occurred from one specific prophet about a school of blood and death.
Yes.
Ooh.
Good.
So high school.
Yeah. School of Blood and Death. High school. No. It was really weird that they decided to name it School of Blood and Death High School, but it really just sort of.
Yeah, and the mascot, it's really not appropriate.
No, not at all. And nearly indescribable, really, but still. Excellent. Good. Now, is there like a particular cool name that they give Sully in this? Is there in this prophecy? How do they refer to Sully?
They refer to Sully. My mind went just like that. Sorry.
Well, we don't have to think about it. We don't have to think of it right now. But it's I keep thinking there might be some cool title or something.
Redeemer.
Something like that, like the Redeemer.
Yeah, the Redeemer.
Excellent.
The ones who redeem the souls.
Excellent.
Can I ask a quick question? Is there any doubt? Could Sully be one of two possible candidates to be the Redeemer? It's one of those things where you have to observe him to learn more, or is it guaranteed? Or is there a further prophecy that goes along with that?
She would have to look into this more further, but she feels like it's pretty much like a 75% chance that he could be the Redeemer.
Okay.
But she would have to actually spend more time with him to find out.
All right. So that's part of your way of interacting with him is a fact-finding mission. I like that.
This
hey, you know who's good at finding facts?
Beat down dude.
Hey.
This just beat down dude suddenly is like, oh, actually, no, you're part of prophecy. It's like, no.
Not today. Maybe tomorrow.
Oh man. So is the just to remind me, the prophet was in your sect, or was the prophet someone that your sect studied?
He was in the sect.
Awesome. Okay. Excellent. I will. If you would like to name this prophet, you may, but you do not have to. We can come up with that later in the background.
Later.
I may draw on that at some point.
Later.
All right, and then we are back again over to V. And I think you've already probably got them mapped out, but just so we know again what they are, and I can kind of mark it down here. Who was your third pick? One of these.
So based off of what they've decided, I've got my 4 covered actually.
Yeah.
So we're going with Ori 6, I think, with this one. And on my side of the conversation, this is we met on an internet site that was focused on a crime. So you first meet on an unsolved crimes website, decide together what infamous crime fascinates you both. And I'm thinking it has something to do with the cult that you were a part of and how it fell apart. And maybe there was some fallout about that. And I'm wondering if that fallout maybe has something to do possibly with my parents, who were big in the 80s, work, and then they decided to settle down. And I'm wondering if maybe they, in their attempts to climb the ladder, may have dipped their fingers in something that might have, I wouldn't have known this, but I'm thinking like for a potential story arc, there's something that I'm trying to find out more about my family. You're trying to find out a little bit more, and then we maybe went to this same site and you had some information, I had some information, and we just went back and forth, and it started off definitely about the mystery, and then kind of went from there.
Yeah, I like that. Kind of like if I was trying to trace back, like if there was an event that happened, and then I was trying to trace back the ripples that would have caused that event, and it came back to like some old money family that maybe got their fingers in where they shouldn't have.
Yeah. And I think I'm on the other side of the lake, and I'm getting those ripples, and I'm tracing it back to where that would have possibly come across with maybe the company that my family used to work for. But then right before they started having kids, they left that company and they went to a different job, and it was like a real pay increase, and something else happened, and sort of like they don't talk about that. That was a note. That was kind of a dead end. Now they're really into, I don't know, media.
Wait, for a second I thought you were gonna say memes.
Nope, everyone.
Yeah. We get
It would be really funny if they had a specific job just for memes.
I mean, by now, someone does, I'm sure. So yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I feel as though just now, I want to make sure so that we don't, and I know we haven't gotten into details about the cult yet because we haven't gotten into that layer of description yet for the cult that Scarlet's in. I feel as though the cult of Edison is probably a separate cult, but they sometimes absorb members of other cults. So there might be some connection between the two cults, but we don't know what it is as of yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick for the if we want to just grab this final round here, we there's only one candidate left for each of you, and for Ozzy, the remaining candidate is actually, I think, Ori. You haven't.
That's right. I have. Yeah, that's right. I would say for Ori, Okay. So, their relations. They are most likely distant. Tell them what the connection is. Ozzy's, the way he's built was what Ori's line of constructions were based off of. So him calling her their daughter all the time, he doesn't realize that you're a later generation model of him. So he just calls you his daughter because he likes calling you his daughter because it's it kind of gives me I have a family kind of feeling. But it also, I really want to take care of another automaton like me, and I want to make sure they have the best and they grow up into a good person. But what he doesn't know is that he's actually like their great grandfather. And he doesn't know this. He doesn't know this. But he doesn't realize, but they really are related. And it will probably never come up until someone really analyzed their schematics against each other. That it would become one to one. But thing is, Ozzy doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to find out how Ori works, because it's such that feeling of yeah, you're my daughter, and I respect your privacy kind of thing, and respect who you are. And if there's anything you ever want to tell me about how you were made or anything, I'll let you do that on your own time. Because that's the one thing he refuses to, because he's always doing research, but that's the one thing is he refuses to research is how she came to be. Because he feels like that would be a breach of trust if he did that. But yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I like that too. All right, so now over to Ori. Your last question goes to Sully.
Yeah. So, harkening back to this going and beating up some humans thing, my last one is they thought you were a monster and tried to kill you. Tell them why you are now friends. And if this is before Ozzy and I really met, and I had my apartment, and I was living in kind of this hovel and boarding house, and you came in to chase what you thought were werewolves or vampires, and I was also there, just hiding, probably in a corner. And since I have like this big sword and a revolver strapped to my thigh at all times, and this mask and glowing eyes, I imagine that you probably tried to attack me. But my Ori's default is, wait, please stop. And I feel like we would be friends based on like, you left and then we met on like another hunt and realized that we were actually on the same side and managed to work together and took down like some monster using like the power of friendship and teamwork.
Okay.
And it was just it's like a slightly rocky friendship, but it's built on mutual respect for each other's skills.
Okay.
I have to wonder if you have any ideas for what monster it was that you took down with the power of friendship.
Friendship and guns and swords, I believe.
Friendship and guns, yes.
One big damn gun.
I don't know, like something that like hunts in the dark and without two people, it definitely would have gotten the jump on one of us and taken us down quite easily. I don't know, maybe like a pack of werewolves.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Very good.
I'm for that story.
Yeah.
An entire pack, just the two of us.
It's like we were both hunting separate werewolves, and then we ended up in the same neck of the woods and realized that there was more than either of us expected. And forged our friendship in getting into deep shit together.
In wolf blood.
Yes.
Yes. Excellent.
That's.
Did you get the whole pack?
I like to think that we did.
That's cool.
I think like afterwards,
Finish the job.
When Ori came back, like Ozzy was sitting there reading the newspaper. It's like, oh, so what'd you do tonight? What did you do tonight, Ori?
She'd just be like, werewolves, hunting.
Excellent. Make sure you don't track anything to the house.
She just like dutifully like douses herself in water. Like, no, still clothed because she doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Like just on the porch with a bucket of water, and then spends the next week trying to figure out why people are staring at her weird because there's bloodstains on her clothes still.
Oh, God.
The thing is, he wouldn't ask because he supports his daughter in everything that she does.
That's when she learned what tie-dye was.
Yes. Very important lesson, that.
So good.
All right. So, oh my God. So let's see. Let's see. Sully, your last one. Do you have what your last one is? Or we'll figure it out.
Ori, I believe.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, so I think I have one that slightly fits the situation we just went over, which is you saved their life back when they were a pathetic newbie hunter. Ask them what you saved them from.
Yeah, definitely the werewolves.
Interesting.
A close moment. A close moment where
yeah.
maybe it was stronger than you were expecting. So you just...
Yeah, because I feel like in the werewolf situation specifically, she would have been going in and not understood that multiple different things had been through there. She's like, oh no, it's just one going back and forth. That's how it works, right? And then just got jumped.
I feel like there may have been
So
something.
he gets the 1,000-yard stare as he starts seeing how many tracks.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, you did.
Oh, well, I was saying I feel as though there may have been something that attracted the werewolves to Ori in the first place, as to part of the reason why they ended up going through that, basically where she was staying, and as to sort of part of the reason why Sully was able to track them. There was some link or other that made them, for whatever reason, interested in Ori.
Can I throw something out? So rather than werewolves, were-rats, you say you're staying in a hovel, like an area where maybe,
Yep.
Like an old junkyard,
Good
maybe
point.
something was in the junkyard and
And
what
I
was
am also
disappearing-
made of shiny parts,
right.
like
You-
gears and stuff. So
Maybe that's sort of like
Ooh.
a tent town, like a shanty town, maybe for wherever this
Mhm.
area is. And rather than werewolves, where we're kind of familiar with what they do, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe you know about werewolves, but you weren't aware of were-rats. They hunt differently. They have a totally different locale. You were prepared for one thing, and you got something different. Maybe they came
I
out
like that, actually.
from below rather than
can
from
do that.
like the
Yeah.
woods or something
Mhm.
along those lines.
Yeah.
First off, yes, that would
Yeah.
also help explain why it was why it was perhaps a little easier to take out an entire pack of them to an extent. Also, I wonder if they were trying to build something. It's an interesting thought.
Very
I
possible.
think this was definitely before Ozzy took her in. Then
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that was very much before that.
yeah. Okay, cool. That's very interesting. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to head over to Gillian again, and you have your last your last one to throw something at is V.
Wait, did
actually.
Sully already go?
I think.
Yeah,
Threw it back
that
at
was-
Ori.
Yeah, threw back. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
And
yeah,
for
sorry.
Scarlet, you actually haven't thrown a connection at V yet. I don't think.
Yeah, I was actually also like bounced between these two, but I thought this one would be like very interesting between the two of us, so I wanted to just go with they are your close relative or partner / spouse. Decide between you exactly what the relationship is.
Well, hey there. All right. Okay. I
Yeah, if
think
you're
we're
good
probably
with
not
that.
married. I think we're probably not married. I think that's safe to say. But so you said you just transferred to the high school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Interesting.
Yeah, and
Okay.
again, whatever you're comfortable with. It's.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. If you're comfortable, let me pitch this to you,
Okay.
because I think that V is still kind of figuring out who she is, and you maybe are a little bit more confident about that. And if you are pursuing her, I see that being a lot more likely as far as how I envision her, and maybe she's coming around to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that. I guess you kind of like
Oh.
after everything that happened, like you felt really bad about puking on my shoes.
What if that was our first date?
Yes.
So what if on our first
It
date,
just
I've had
worked.
all this stuff happening with my family, you took me to a party, and the intense introvert party, family issues, budding romance, too much alcohol. I maybe maybe I went to Sully for advice, and it's like, oh yeah, ladies love it when you buy them, you buy them drinks, and so he gave me like a 6-pack of something to bring to the party.
Oh my
God!
gosh.
I threw up. I assume it's over, but you're still interested. I'm still interested, but it's maybe rather than being admitted it's a work in progress. Also, you belong to a supernatural cult, and I find that weird.
Sully is the bad uncle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I said, Sully is the uncle who's like, oh, your Uncle Sully's coming? Damn.
Like literally, this is how it
And
goes.
then, but then, but Ori is like, yes, Uncle Sully's coming.
Like literally, this is how it's gonna go. Like, Ozzy is group dad. Ori is teenage goth construct daughter.
Yeah.
Sully is the
Yes.
drunk uncle. V is the nervous girl who has a crush on another girl, who is also a drunk. And I'm the weird crush.
Yeah.
I have to.
Basically
That tracks.
prophesizes everything.
I almost have to. I'm kind of curious as to whose party this was that this all happened at, because there's an environment you're in here.
This is Ori 6's party, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
I tried to understand human culture by throwing a party. It was New Year's,
Oh wow.
because I was trying to understand the traditions of general humanity,
Oh,
and so we threw a New Year's Eve party.
here's
just us at the party,
No,
right?
yeah, but here's one even better though. Okay, so when Ori mentioned that she wanted to throw a party, Ozzy originally was going to say no, because every New Year's he meets up with his action science group that he's with, and they have a New Year's party, but he didn't want to leave Ori unsupervised. But then he's like, wait a minute. She was watching those teenage party movies. This is a perfect example of her to want to experience to have a teenage experience. Yes, you can have a party here unsupervised.
Oh my god.
As he was saying it, and as he was getting ready, and whenever he would talk to Ori about the party, he says, remember, it's unsupervised. And he would and the day he was leaving the party, he's like, well, Ori, I'm leaving for my party. Remember, this is unsupervised.
Supervised.
I like the idea too that maybe Sully was supposed to go on a hunting expedition, but they wrapped up really early and came back and just
It ended with Sully and I on the couch getting drunk playing video games together.
It's a little depressing, but I imagine Sully just was spending it alone.
But at the
They
same
got,
time, Ori
drawn
doesn't
into
actually have a
shenanigans.
mouth and can't actually drink, so she was just faking it.
Dare I ask, Ori, how many people did you end up inviting to this party? How big a party was it, do you think?
I feel like it wouldn't actually be that many.
Okay.
Because she still doesn't know anybody, so she invited all of her friends, which is this current group.
This current
And
group.
so it was just a bunch of, it was what all actual teenage parties are like, where it's actually just you and a few friends.
You try to that's
getting
fair.
drunk together.
I was just trying to figure out if anyone from the high school or anyone from the library or something ended up coming in or anything like that.
There might have been a few people that drifted in and out from the high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably Scarlet would have secretly tweeted about a New Year's party at Ori's place.
Yeah.
Nice. Excellent.
And Ozzy did his best not to intervene and mention to kids that there was a party, that she was throwing a party unsupervised.
Oh my god.
That one Gary Busey.
And also, we all made a huge effort to not comment on the fact that I am a construct.
Yes.
Probably, I feel
It was
you
just the whole night.
You just probably when we all got here, you just huddled us in a corner and just said, "Remember, pretend I am human and not a construct."
It was a masquerade party. New
Nice.
Year's
Yes.
Eve masquerade party so that I would fit in with my mask, but I still showed up in my leather jacket with the hood and my scarf and my plain white t-shirt that had bloodstains on it.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause I only own one set of clothes.
Oh my gosh. So Drew,
Yes.
was V's Mima at the party that Ozzy went to?
Oh
I'm
my
going to
God.
say no. As fun as that sounds, I think to maintain the illusion, because once you meet one construct,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think
yeah.
that's going to open the door for, and most likely there's going to be artifacts that she would recognize of yours in that same building.
That's true.
I love the idea. but I think I probably went back to her place. I probably left the party immediately after vomiting. Probably got on a bicycle because I was, I'm not
Or he
stupid.
probably carried you, just and deposited you at home.
All right, I'm gonna give you one more to complicate this. I think drunk V, after feeling really weird about this attention from Scarlet and being drunk, attempts to kiss Ori when you're carrying her home, just to really ramp up the drama.
Amazing. She would not know
These
how to
darn
react.
kids these days.
No, and nor could she, right? But
she would be like, "This is weird. I don't understand." But
and I think
if this is how humans express affection, then we're friends, right? That would be her reaction.
Yeah. So just to everybody know, V doesn't show up for the next adventure following all of this party. Like, she is at home for a good solid week, and then
oh my god,
pretends like nothing happened.
So good, so good.
I imagine Sully eventually shows up to be like, "It's not that serious. Just let it go. Act like nothing happened. Don't you worry about that."
See?
Another episode of Take It From Sully.
Bad Uncle Sully.
Yes,
I love it.
It's like Sully is just like, so I'm trying to think of like these two. Sully is very Nick Offerman in the way he talks. He's just like very curt to the point. I know what I'm doing. Like, look, just it's not that important.
Oh my god.
You did something awkward, kid. You just got to get over that. Sorry.
Yeah. Believe me,
back out in the field.
Believe me,
Let's
it's
go.
all downhill from here. Oh, that's so good.
It's like
I now have this headcanon that Ori just thinks that, basically headbutting people, because she doesn't have a mouth or anything, so she thinks that headbutting people is a way you greet your friends, and now she just kind of, will knock her head against people. Like, when she's greeting, she'll be like, "Hey," as a greeting, because she just assumes that that's how it's done now.
And because V doesn't remember doing, has a vague memory of doing it, we're just making an assumption that it's a form of your culture that you're kind of creating, and I think she goes along with it and just plays along with. No, you've been doing that the whole time. That's all we were doing. Yeah,
exactly.
Awesome. Okay, last bit this round, then we're gonna go to break. Is V? You have a you have that last connection history question and with Ozzy, yeah? That's the bowling one, isn't it? Or am I?
Yeah. So on my sheet it says you are on the same bowling team. Ask them what bowling-related disagreement rubbed them the wrong way.
Okay. One, I think. Because Ozzy really loves bowling, so he got himself these great bowling shirts that he wanted him and V to wear, and it was like that one episode of The Simpsons,
the Pin Pals.
But it's just them two, because they're not on a full team. It's just them two, and it's like a big bowling pin with Ozzy's face on it, a little bowling pin with V's face on it.
Oh my god.
And he's like, just wear the shirt. It will show it we're a team. And he because he really put some time and effort into making this shirt.
And V didn't wear it?
Yeah. She didn't wear it, or
okay, so how about this? No, I'm just thinking, let's pretend it's an episode of TV.
Right.
There's this schism between the two of us just briefly, but at the end of the episode, the last shot you see before credits fade is V going to bed and putting on the bowling shirt as pajamas.
Yeah.
Do you think Scarlet actually witnessed that fight between Ozzy and V because they were about to have their own little bowling match as a date? As a second or third date?
That could potentially be. Maybe that's where you approached her for the first time. Maybe it was I saw you in high school and we saw each other, but maybe the first time you approached was that evening, kind of a thing. And maybe that's sort of it wasn't that I wasn't going to put on the shirt. It's just that putting on the shirt makes me look uncool in front of the hot girl. And so, like I'm like, no. What I've got on is perfectly appropriate attire. And you're like, no, look, we're friends. Like, you totally said it was okay to make this. And I'm like, I don't want to wear this. And it's kind of hard to explain because I'm not 100% sure where I'm at in that situation.
Yeah.
And I think that hurts your feelings.
Yeah.
Your feelings.
No, he has feelings. That's the unique thing about him, is that his AI is so advanced. He has feelings. He has he's capable of having all of these emotions a normal robot shouldn't have, because Tesla created technology, but Mark Twain gave him heart and mind and a thirst for curiosity. So he's he's so human. That's what makes him so unique, that the world views him he's not another, because there's constructs out there in the world all the time, but he's viewed as a really unique construct, because if you saw him, if he was talking behind a curtain, no one would know that he is a robot, kind of thing. Yeah. And I think that when that happened, he was he just did okay, I guess you can wear it another day, and he kind of but it did hurt him that they didn't wear it.
I think eventually he's going to figure it out, right? I mean, I think it's definitely not something that's going to tear us apart. It's just the B plot for an episode where it's just this is the reason that we're having an argument this time is because someone new is joining the team, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I feel as though I do have a couple of questions in the back of my head. You need not answer these right now. But I'm just curious if you came up with a name for this bowling team. And if there is a rival bowling team whom you bowl against regularly.
Please give us a little while to come up with that.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think we could really play with that a little bit.
Oh yes,
and save something for next time.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, no, definitely. Just a thing to think about. Mm-hmm. Are we bowling against werewolves? We're not sure. But anyway, all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to break real quick. I believe I have an interview on there that folks can watch if they wish to stare at it while we're at break. We will be back shortly to tie up the rest of this. So we will see you soon. Hey, folks. Welcome to the break. I have Dylan with me. Anarasis on Twitch to talk about some of the shows that he's got going on, various things that he's got happening on Twitch. Welcome.
Thanks. It's good to be back talking about some fun Twitch stuff.
Awesome. So I know of at least a couple of the shows that you have running right now. But feel free to just tell us, what manner of things do you do on your channel, and what would you like to talk about?
Do you want the specific answer, or do you want the highfalutin Dylan's a nerd answer?
I feel as though we should burrow as deeply into the nerdology as we possibly can. I think that is the only true answer.
All right. Well, then, no matter when you're watching this, if you're watching this in a week from when this is recorded to a month to probably a year and a half, this answer will be the same, which is I try to stream games and shows that obviously treat everybody at the table with respect and like people, and acknowledge that we're all there to have fun. But also, the way that we try to have fun is by telling meaningful and compelling stories with a bit of a message. And I think that's a thing that I started doing in my home games before I started streaming, that I carried over pretty easily into streaming, that I think, I don't know that people miss, but people just either don't know was an option or don't try to do. And so the specific shows that I have going right now are From Dust, which is an Apocalypse World show, or not Apocalypse World, Dungeon World, powered by the Apocalypse Dungeon World show, that we've been running for about 25 episodes now. And that's been sort of on and off because a hiatus is so 25 episodes has come out to like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And then Travel, or Ryoko Seo, which is an anime-themed Ryutama campaign that's been running for about the same time chronologically, but it's gotten up closer toward like 35 episodes because we've had to miss fewer weekends. And by the time this comes out, either I'll have just started or be about to start a new show called Masks of Hero High, which is interesting because I'm not GMing it, which is the usual mode. But we're doing a My Hero Academia themed Masks campaign.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that.
Awesome. So the one of those that I've seen the most of has been From Dust, because I know a few of the people that are on it, and it's Dungeon World, but the sheer level of drama, the drama to adventuring ratio is rather a steep one, and it's very good.
It's interesting. It's interesting because obviously, like, Dungeon World at its core is, if you ever hear Adam Coble talk about it or write about it, he describes it as an attempt to translate like old school dungeon crawling D&D, like Moldvay D&D, into powered by the Apocalypse framework that makes it more empowering for the players, is more fun and less punishing, and like just creates more narrative opportunities. But like none of those objectives are, deal with the drama of a slow burn romance that takes 24 episodes to finally come to a head. Like, but yeah, we definitely have a high drama ratio, and a lot of that is the players on that show are really willing to lean into moments of drama when they come up, but also like lean into their failures when they happen, so that things can snowball in interesting directions. But also much of that is just as a GM acknowledging that like we're running a show, we have breaks every hour, we have 4 hours usually of show, so I can put an exciting moment right at the end of an hour or at the end of an episode, because I can see those things coming down the road and start moving us toward that. And the players are really good at, when we start hitting these points, both for the audience's enjoyment in their own, like steering with that or even pulling me in the direction of something interesting and dramatic.
Yeah, but it's the times and the times that I've come and I've sat and watched From Dust. I became aware, I think, just even from the first episode that I watched, that there was this slow burn romance that was happening, and just every time I'd come back, it was like maybe it's if I might miss a few episodes, I come back a few episodes later, it was still burning, and I was just like, come on, and it just sort of sitting there, even not having seen the whole thing, just being like, come on, when is this going to happen? My God.
Yeah. Well, it's just because like if the players can lean into it and can really play with it, that tension like doesn't really require the build up. Yeah. It just requires the context. And Adam and Kiana, the players in question, were really good at like building that and doing fun and entertaining stuff with it, right? Like you can have the tension of like, will they or won't they? And it can be useless, but all sorts of like dropping little hints about it from moment to moment, or saying things that like to us as an audience made us go, yes, of course, but to the characters like just didn't quite mix, like all that good dramatic irony. They did such a good job and continue to do such a good job of delivering on that.
It was so good, so good. Also, I'm just going to make mention that the last episode that I watched, there was such an awesome amount of drunken role playing going on. The characters being drunk, it was just freaking delightful. Seeing that going on.
Yeah.
It's so neat seeing a game that leaves you in the room to develop things like that. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's funny for me. I end up playing a lot of drunk NPCs, just because of like the context that the players end up in, and we don't go into a lot of dungeons, but we still hit the dungeon bullet points, and that means that there ends up being drunken partying at some point or another. But like, it was funny in the scene that you're referencing. Summer in our back room chat was like, Dylan, did you actually drink while we were like on break or something? I was like, no, I've been around enough drunk people while I was sober that I know what to do.
Yeah. You're very good at that. You're very good
Thank
at
you.
it. I've seen you play drunk NPCs in more than that one. It was I think in another episode too. And I was like, this is really good. It's very convincing. So that was freaking awesome. It is a delight. What I'm saying is, folks, please go and see this this channel, because it is entertaining as hell. One other thing I did just want to mention, make sure I brought up before we dive back into the. Wherever breaks go when they're done, was that you have you've recently started a show on there called Really Playing Games.
Yes. Yeah.
And will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Really Playing Games sort of started as a joke between Summer and myself, where, I mean, initially we were just like, we don't get enough times to hang out outside of playing tabletop role-playing games. So we both like adventure games. Why not play them together? They make good, they're a good genre of video game to play when only one player can control the game, because they're super puzzle based, and so they're good for collaborative playing like that. And then we did a bit of a test drive on Halloween of 2019, where we played Man of Medan together, and that was a fucking riot, and people loved it. And so we were like, yeah, let's actually try to do this. And when I was like trying to come up with a name for the show, I was like, well, everybody, the bulk of people that watch my channel watch for role-playing games. They come for RPGs. So like, if I want any of those people to show up, I need to cater to them in some sense or another. But also, like, Summer doesn't stream video games anymore. She used to, like, her when she started streaming, she started with video games, but she doesn't really stream video games anymore. And I only stream video games like once a week, and so I have seen amidst the RPG community some people from outside of it come in and be like, well, you don't play really like real games. You don't, like, real gamers play Dark Souls, or like real gamers play Counter-Strike Go. And I'm like, I love video games. They're like, I have been playing video games and role-playing games since I was very small. But I just thought it was funny to play off that idea of the two of us being a pair of fake gamers. So our show, RPG, or Really Playing Games, is where we our two fake gamers come together to someday become real gamers.
Someday you work at it hard enough.
By playing the most casual genre of video game available.
Which also happens to be my favorite genre of video game as well. So that's a thing.
I love
too.
them.
It's so good, so good. I was weaned on Sierra, but I will not go into that because otherwise that'll require another 20 minutes at least. But in the meantime, if folks want to find you, where should they go?
You can find me all over the internet at Anarisis. That's ANARISIS. Twitch, obviously the big one, but also Twitter, Patreon, Itch.io, all those fun places.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and toss things back over to me, and I will see you folks in a bit. We have returned, and we are now in the second and more dangerous phase of Session 0, the one where I go completely off the rails and ask a bunch more questions so that I can have prompts for the campaign, even more prompts for the campaign. I've actually already got a good amount of material here, but the next things that I wanted to ask about had to do with some choices that you folks would make on your playbooks, and it's okay if you don't have these yet. I just sort of want to go through and ask about these. So first off, Wally, did you choose your science device?
No, I have not chosen my science device. I'm still working on that one.
All right, that's just fine.
Yeah, that one I really want to figure that one out.
Okay.
Unless you mean the science weapons.
The on the let me open the. Make sure I'm back at the right. Oh, hey! Thank you for the bits. Yay!
Hey! The biddies feed the beasts.
Yes.
For awesome.
The bits will go towards the care and feeding of the monsters we'll be casting in this. No actual monsters will be harmed in the course of this campaign.
You know what would be really funny
simulated
for something that we would fight? If we were in the bowling alley trying to bust something, and one of the bowling pins or bowling balls actually turned out to be mimics.
I was gonna say,
my
it's a
God.
mimic. I every time we talk about a bowling alley, I get super strong Stranger Things vibes.
I think there was definitely a hunt we all went on at the bowling alley. We invited V and Ozzy invited the rest out to bowling night, and this was after Ozzy realized what V was going through. He's after he saw everyone walking together, he leaned over to me, went just nudged her, right on her shoulder, kind of thing. But
Ozzy is 100% matchmaking.
Yes, he's trying his best.
This strange. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely a Stranger Things kind of episode.
I like the idea too that it's a bottle episode in that we didn't actually go to the bowling alley for a hunt. We went to bowl, and the danger came to us.
Mm-hmm.
I have in the back of my head this strange smashing together of Supernatural and The Big Lebowski thing going
That
on.
town is weird.
Very strange.
Our town's weird.
I feel like it might be. Okay, so, basically I was just saying you may create gadgets or weapons to help in your investigations, tell what you want the device to be capable of. Okay, so
There
this
was
is really
no
more something you can...
Yeah. So
Go
this is
ahead
like
and
something,
do
I think
during
it's
the
like
course of the
something
thing,
I'm like
so,
during I guess during the game,
Yeah.
if I ever want to make like a big device, this is the rules I would have to follow for it.
Yeah. Cool. So
Also,
that...
one more thing about the bowling alley. There was no spare that day at the bowling alley.
That's what it says. That's true. Sometimes you eat the pins. Sometimes, well, the pins eat you. Okay. Anyway.
It's a pin world.
It kind of is out there. And also, have you picked out any of your moves yet, or no?
Yes, I have.
Okay, cool. What'd you got?
So for my moves, I went with pulled up the wrong sheet. With my moves, I went with two-fisted science. You may roll sharp to kick ass instead of tough, because I mean he's been around. He's fought in wars. He's done all of that. Like he doesn't really like. He likes using his fists to handle things. I mean, he has access to science weapons, but he really likes using his fists more than anything. And that kind of just goes back to like he has a love for like adventure stories, and in his mind, like all the adventure stories that he ever read, the guys never used guns; they always used their fists, and he really like admired that.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
And my second move was where was it? Engineering. So it's basically I can fix objects
right.
real good.
Excellent. Very cool. That will come in handy. All right.
May I ask a question then?
Yes.
You don't understand how Ori 6 works. If something were to damage her, would you be able to fix her, or is that because of your respect for boundaries? Could that be a problem?
It would be a problem because if it was that Ori got pretty much damaged that he wouldn't be able to replicate a unique part for her.
Gotcha.
But if it was like simple like mechanical error, engineering error, that's something like if he needs to like replace a limb or something, like, he can easily do that. But her power source is the one thing he refuses to know about her. Because he looks at her, it's like, you're a clockwork automaton. I know how to fix that. I've seen those before. I worked on those before. What powers you? I don't know. And that's your business. And if you don't know, and if Ori didn't know, he would wait for Ori to ask, can you figure out what powers me?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ori doesn't really know what powers her.
Yeah.
It could be mechanical or it could be arcane. And
interesting.
They're not really sure because of the way they were brought into the world.
It's a good question.
I like that, yeah.
It's a very good question. Cool. All right. So now, as far as questions for the constructed, which let me open up in my thing here. There we go. That I had for you. Oh, actually, you know what? I did also actually want to ask. I'm sorry. For Ozzy, did you what science weapons did you pick?
Oh, I went with the laser cannon and the lightning gun because Tesla is his dad.
But of course. Okay. Now, as far for the things I wanted to ask related to the constructed playbook, did you pick out yet what your purpose was?
Yeah, I went with assistant.
Okay. Cool. And why are you no longer? And we kind of answered why you're no longer serving that function.
Discarded as a failure.
Discarded.
It's the official option that I chose.
Yeah. Okay. Assistant. Discarded as a failure. And did you pick any moves out as of yet?
Yeah. So funny enough, before this, I picked out hardened limbs, which means my unarmed attacks have a 2 harm with the hand and magic and messy properties. And I now like to think that that's something Ozzy taught her to defend herself.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like, Ozzy was, like, so in the Ozymandias history canon, he was taught to box by Muhammad Ali, because when he spoke out against the Vietnam War, Muhammad Ali was all like, yeah, you're good. You're a good guy. And he asked him, he was really admiring, like, him being a boxer. So Muhammad Ali trained him how to box.
Nice.
Perfect.
I like it. So let's see. Awesome. So you picked hardened limbs. Was there another one that you were?
And then recharge. So by exposing myself to a large source of my energy type, I can attempt to heal myself.
Excellent. Awesome. Cool. And it's and you picked clockwork as your animating force, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Good. Okay. Cool. All right. And as we go over to questions for the wronged, let's see. Did you pick out your moves yet?
Yes.
Cool.
I know my prey just from being the wronged. I chose Never Again. And Tools Matter.
Can we choose to protect someone without rolling? And if you had rolled a 10+, you may choose not to suffer little harm. Tools matter with your signature weapon. You get to +1 to kick some ass. Awesome. Okay. What is your signature weapon?
The hand cannon.
Awesome. All right. So, we talked a little bit about who it was that you lost. You had said that was your brother, yes?
Brother and his best friend.
Brother and best friend. Awesome. Do you have names for them yet, or no? It's not a big deal.
Ooh.
You don't have to have them right this second, but
Let's for the fun of it have his brother be named Richard. I can't resist. I cannot resist.
Richard.
the
Nice.
worst name.
Oh man, your parents were mean. Awesome. Do you have a name for your best friend or no?
Michael Davis.
Michael Davis. Cool.
Okay.
All right. And did we say what your prey was? Were we talking vampires, or is this actually something else?
I would love. I don't know how to I would love for the person responsible for his two important people's deaths to have been a hag posing as the principal.
Ooh,
to have her own little coven of witches, and
Yes.
they figured that out. So
May I suggest a Baba Yaga sort of scenario?
The question is, why? Why would she do that? Why would she burn out the school and then massacre a bunch of students?
Well, I mean, hags are sometimes one. It depends on which lore you believe, but Hansel and Gretel came from somewhere.
I imagine I don't know. I imagine some sort of showdown went down where all her plans were threatened. She was going to be revealed.
The students
maybe it
tried to make
wasn't
an announcement over the
intentional.
loudspeaker, and
Not an intentional, maybe not intentional fully, but she's not mad at it. So she pieced out.
Yeah. I feel like maybe like Michael figured something out or something. It's like Michael and Richard might have figured something out and then...
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they were feeding on some of the football players.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a thing. Awesome. Okay.
Should I just put witch as my prey, or like
Yeah, you could do
hag,
that.
or
You can put witch or hag, or I mean, we can sort of throw them into that kind of. It says monster breed, so I mean, it's and you know, yeah, we can narratively we could make hags of specific thing if we like, or we could just broaden it to witches if we want to do that.
I'm fine with it just being a hag because it's a very specific thing.
Yeah, and there's a very specific it's like a very specific thing that's not exact. We can say that there might be witches out there, but they're not. Yeah, it's not that kind of thing, and it's obviously not the actual religion, obviously, but it's these are specifically crone-like creatures that
Oh yeah.
at a certain point in their life, it is possible these could be like at a certain point in their life they have to feed, or in order to keep from crumbling to dust, that kind of thing. Some folks say that that's when you turn 44 is when you become a hag. That's that kind of thing. That's what happened to me, at least. But anyway, it's a lot of possibilities there. So cool. All right, and it says, why couldn't you save them? It says you were, you sort of blew them off, basically, right? For until like the next,
Yeah. So selfish.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Come on. People are dying. People die all the time. Go away.
Yeah. That can't be that serious.
Can't be that serious. School burned down today.
Oh dear. Nice. Okay. Excellent.
Oh.
Did you ever find? And I guess this is the question: is did you ever find the original hag that did this, or no, or not yet?
I imagine that it's been 10 years. It's still going.
Awesome.
Can't find her. She's too slippery.
I also almost wonder if you found out her name yet. That might be a key thing. Is that if actually finding out her name might be a key to something. Interesting. Cool.
Maybe the prophecies might know of it.
The prophecies might. They very well might. Well, let's go ahead and then shift over to the initiate questions that I have here. So, have you picked out moves?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yes. Well, one of them is automatic, which is when you're in good standing with your sect, at the beginning of each mystery, roll plus charm. On a 10+, they provide some useful information or help out in the field. On a 7-9, you get a mission associated with the mystery, and if you do it, you'll get some info or help too. And on a miss, they ask you to do something bad. If you fail a mission or abuse an order, you'll be in trouble with the sect until you atone.
Right. So you have that, and then you get to pick 3 of the others, and I was wondering which ones you grabbed there.
The first one is Mystic. So every time I successfully use magic, I take 1+ forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means to take 1+1 forward.
It's +1 to your next roll.
Okay. That's a really good one. And the next one I took was Mentor. So I have a mentor in the sect. I don't have a name for them yet.
Okay.
So I say, it says, when you contact your mentor for info, roll plus sharp. On a 10+, you get an answer to your question, no problem. On a 7-9, you choose. They're either busy or can't help, or they answer the question but you owe a favor. On a miss, your question causes trouble. And then the final one I chose is called That Old Black Magic. Which is, when you use magic, you can ask a question from the Investigate a Mystery move as your effect.
Cool. So you can do almost like sort of, casting visions or trying basically informational spells.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. All right. So let's get into the sect a bit.
Okay.
So you're part of an ancient secret order that slays monsters. Where are they from? How old are they? Are they religious? Why do they stay secret? How do they recruit? Who are these people?
Okay. All right. So there's some questions I can't answer, but I know they are not religious. They don't. There's not really religion. Like everything originates from one part, where they kind of separate into their own little religions. That's what the sect believes, and they stay a secret because they've discovered so many things across history from different magics to artifacts to different pieces of knowledge that so they've discovered like all of this information that is like vital, that could pretty much like destroy civilizations and empires, that they felt that to be able to preserve society so that they can move forward, they have to keep the secrets of what they know.
Okay. So basically they're trying to prevent more apocalypses than have happened already?
Yeah, basically.
So they watch civilizations die and hold on to
Yeah.
freaking armchair sect here. It's interesting. Okay. So how long have they been around, do you think?
I would say probably a long time, maybe like probably in the before common era phrase, like probably.
Yeah. So around so around like the turn of
maybe like Mesopotamia.
Oh, okay, that's a while back. Yeah, no, that's quite a while back. Now, let me just ask: is this one of those things that they actually can trace back to Mesopotamia, or is this more of a thing where there was a more recent sect that just sort of adopted things from a cult that they knew of in Mesopotamia? It can be either one. I just for the purpose of our fiction, we can say.
I would say their history traces back to Mesopotamia.
All right. Okay. So their roots are in Mesopotamia, which is very interesting. And this is also tied into Scarlet's family, right? They are.
Yes, because 5 or 6 generations ago, one of her ancestors almost exposed them, and now they have to, as punishment for the family, they have to be a part of that.
So I guess a lot of them, if they're there to record things, then a lot of them. Oh, hey! Thank you for the raid. Hello. We're just we're doing session 0 stuff, figuring stuff out for our Monster of the Week characters, and so yeah, so 5 or 6 generations. So that would be somewhere between, depending on different people have different definitions of generations, but they could be something like 200 years.
Probably around 200 years. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Interested when your family got involved. All right. So that gives me an interesting area to play in there. Cool. All right. I'm going to be doing some research between now and next week. Sect traditions. Did you pick good and bad traditions?
I did. So, for the good traditions of my sect, I picked ancient lore and magical lore. And for the bad traditions, I picked paranoid and secretive.
That makes sense. They're like, we can't let this happen. We have to hold on to it because it's all. I feel as though there might even, if it's that old, there are probably going to be a lot of different. It could have been different divisions in the sect going back, thousands of years, as they try to, have different branches that try to do different things. So that's very interesting. Do you have a name for the sect as of yet?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, that's fine. We can do that later. Very interesting. So I'm definitely there's some things about Mesopotamian gods bubbling up in the back of my head right now, and I need to go back and check on them because there's some connections here we can make. But yeah. Let us proceed. I'm getting a message about Anunnaki. So I will look into that. Thank you, librarian who is communicating with me and is not at all a Hidden Sect member. I am now we must move on to my questions about the gumshoe. Now for the gumshoe playbook, let me pull that up here in front of me. There it is. You have types of contacts that you get from your base move, the Naked City.
Yes.
Did you pick out your contact types?
Yeah, academics, journalists, local police, and transportation.
Academics, journalists, local police, transportation. Excellent. Okay. Awesome. And these are by and large, and we don't have to necessarily, if you would like to specify some NPCs, that's coming. But sort of in general, I take it that, is this just basically you've worked with them on your previous cases? Is that kind of how that comes up? You just sort of, when you first met them, or it was just sort of like you would go to these people at a university, or you would go to someone in a newspaper, you would go to the police, you would go to someone in transportation asking them about, like, this person got onto this bus at this time. Is it that kind of thing, or?
Yeah, the way I envision V is sort of a reverse Scooby-Doo. So in Scooby-Doo, it always seems like it's a supernatural mystery, and it always turns out to be something mundane. Whereas with V, every time she has a mystery, it really starts off mundane and always ends up with being something super weird. But I like to think of her as like, there's a local taxi guy she probably talks to who, is kind of like the king of wherever the taxi guys, or, the local newspaper people, maybe the person who works at the newsstand. I think I like the idea of like there being mysteries to solve in the high school proper. And so maybe there's a teacher there who, the guidance counselor says, listen, I can't get my hands involved, but like, you really should check on Tim.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And the same thing with the local police. Originally I had envisioned her as being the daughter of a police officer, until I kind of hit on some other aspects of it. But I do like the idea. I feel like V's not really good with people her age, but definitely is kind of relates more with adults, and adults kind of find her to be, I think,
I remember what that was like. right. As a person of a certain age, like the idea that a teenager would think that you're kind of cool has a certain charm to it, where it's just kind of like, hey, mister, she knows how to like essentially charm older folks. You put her in front of another high schooler, and she's just kind of like, yeah. So I think that's sort of her network. Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah. I think that also kind of helps. It really helps that one of her close friends is Ori, who's like an automaton. So it's like, it also helped that like, because she like relates to adults better, but it's like she freezes up in front of teenagers. Ori is like this combination of both, and maybe that just like is why they click so well.
We're awkward teenagers together, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's a thing, and it's like I think there's like a kinship there that makes a lot of sense, and is confusing. So there you go. And so just as far as game mechanics are concerned, I can talk with any of these 4 groups to get a +1 to investigate a mystery roll. I can get small favors, but there's usually a cost too if I get a favor out of it. I have a feeling that V owes. I think she actually may work with a barter system. I think like if it was just her show, it would just be a series of favors owed throughout the entire town. And it's like, well, you're going to owe me one. Well, technically, I owe you two now. So that kind of thing. I think there's a charm in that.
Yeah. And now, which did you pick one of the other moves?
I did, yeah. And though we've been talking, and I feel like it's one of those great things I love about role-playing games is as we're discussing, the character I had in mind has changed dramatically. So originally I had the Jessica Jones entry, which is when you double talk your way into a secure location, I can roll plus charm. On a 10 plus, I could pick 3 of the following. On a 7 to 9, I could pick 2. And even if I fail, I still get to choose 1. And those are, you don't leave any trace of where you searched. You find what you wanted. You find something else that's important. You don't piss anyone off, and you aren't recognized. I like that idea, but I'm not 100% sure about the charming part of it. The gumshoe is designed to be charming. There isn't a stat block that doesn't have a +1 to charm. Everything else is fluctuating, but charm and sharp are both big. So I can't decide if that, which I think is really fun and makes a lot of sense as far as a detective is concerned. The other one is the postman always rings twice, which is twice per mystery. As long as you follow your code, you can re-roll a roll. Now that's a stat thing, and that's fun, but I like it more as far as it ties into a code, and I like the idea that she would want to uphold that. So I'm trying to decide more of code, but statistics versus something that if I want to use that power, I have to engage people, which makes me uncomfortable. But I'm kind of good at it, and I'm uncomfortable how I'm good at it, and I think I like that better from a narrative perspective. As a storyteller, I like putting her in that kind of position. So,
okay, so you think you're probably going to go with Jessica Jones' entry of those two?
I think, yeah. As I'm saying it out loud, yeah, I'd rather have a narrative power than a stat power.
Cool.
I don't foresee her being lucky, and I don't like the idea of her getting to reroll things.
Yeah, no, totally. All right, cool, excellent. So those are the playbook questions that just the things that I just wanted to zoom in on a little bit. I feel as though we've got a fairly solid thing here as far as we've sort of mapped out the relationships, as far as sort of the team concept. I guess there must have been a point recently where you sort of realized that we 5 people go out and hunt monsters. We suddenly realized this is a thing that we do together. This is an activity that we do together. Is there a particular sort of concept that it's under, or is it more just sort of like like in the aftermath of a party or in the aftermath of like a bowling expedition or something that it just sort of got to, it was like the point where it's like if one of you finds monsters, the rest are just sort of like, yes, let us go forth and find monsters together.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I kind of like I like the idea of it's happened so many times now that instead of us just stumbling across each other on hunts, like we're always hanging out at each other's apartments, and it just so happens that our first response now when we find out about a monster is to grab the others and go in this kind of awkward Dean showing up at Sam's apartment, throwing him in the Impala and making them go on a hunt style.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's kind of like that one scene from Migos when they show up in a car, they just look at the girl and be like, "Get in, bitch, we're going shopping."
Yeah.
Get in, bitches, we're going hunting.
Excellent.
I like the idea that V has no interest in the actual fighting of anything, but she can't turn down a mystery, and it almost without fail, every weird happenstance that she gets asked about ends in something supernatural. And so it's sort of like, yeah, I can figure it out, but once it comes down to start swinging punches, I need backup. Like, I also like the ideas maybe in a way to jumpstart that. Scarlet may have like how bad was your first date? Well, let me tell you about my first date. What was the second date like? She took me to a graveyard so we could kill zombies. Like that sort of a thing. It's like, for a detective, you should have seen that coming. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
those are can turn out to be some of the best kinds of dates, really, if you think about it. So that's very cool, and it's just an interesting idea. Also, keeping in mind that two of these people are in high school, but I guess it comes down to but then again, two of the team members are also robots, so it's like, who are you going to tell?
Well, for Ozzy, it's like to him, it's like, look, if you hang around me, you're gonna end up facing weird stuff. That's like just a given, And like when he was much younger, there were days where he would get bored because nothing interesting was happening. Then as he got older, more and more interesting things were happening. So he's like, look, if you hang around me, 90% you're gonna fight something weird. And I think that was like one of the things he told Ori when he first brought them in. He's like, look, there will be days where I fight weird things. It can't be explained. You just have to go with it.
Let me ask you this. In whatever location we end up at, was it weird before Ozzy moved there? Or did Ozzy move there because it was weird?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
Well, this dovetails well with the fact that we are about to do location, so I don't have too formal a thing, but I'll let you. I'm sorry, Wally, did you have an answer to that, or?
I would like to see what you have for this, because that would it also kind of like why Ozzy is there. So I definitely want to hear
Well, what I have is actually quite simple. It's that we get to now sort of talk about and figure out where this is taking place, what sort of area we would like it to take place in, and then we'll basically, you can each sort of, I was thinking each person can give us a detail about the area. So I think, but let's talk about this a little bit in general first. Are we talking, is this going to be, well, first off, are we talking like near I'm presuming this is a town or a town, city, something that has a high school in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it needs
big enough to have a high school.
Yeah, it needs to be at least big enough to have a high school. How big of a population center do we want here? And do we want like big, or do we want, is this in the middle of a metropolis, or is this like a small town, or what do we think?
I would say small town.
I feel like it's a small town because
One high school.
Yeah, one high school, small town, one high school. There is like the typical teenage hangout spot, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But kind of like that small town that's like, only an hour and a half away from a big city.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So there's access to do other things, but we're that small town that threatens to be swallowed up into a suburb.
Yeah.
And I think
That's
also
kind of
a
the vibe
small
I get.
town that's near a big city that's a tourist destination, right?
Mhm.
You want to have reasons for like how far out are we from Vegas, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Where like if someone went disappearing, you're like, well, you know what? They probably went to the big city, or something arrives in the big city. Well, it's only an hour and a half to that small town, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So what kind of big city do we want? Sort of a tourist place. Good. What sort of, do we have a particular city in mind, or do we want to?
It has
sort
to
of
be a
make it vague?
Canadian city.
Does it?
Oh yeah, no, because all these shows are always filmed in Canada. That's why.
I
It's
mean,
true,
at that
they're all
point
in-
we have
they're all
like
in
three
Toronto.
choices.
So
I mean, my vote would be for Montreal because I've lived there and it's weird. Like that tracks.
I'd be
There's
fine
a
with
bunch
that.
of like
Yeah.
little towns kind of around
I'm fine with
it.
that. Yeah.
Can I just say this will be the third Monster of the Week game that's taking place in Canada for me? Like all the rest of them are in Nova Scotia.
That tracks, honestly.
We had to fight trolls in Cape Breton. Nice.
I love it.
So
I
you're
love
now
it.
half an hour or so, an hour and a half to half an hour from Montreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
That works. Cool. So I guess now what we're going to go over here is
That means you get our Tim Hortons. There's like 2 or 3 Tim Hortons in this small town.
you now have
yeah, every small
unrestricted
town has
access
at
to
least
Tim
3.
Hortons.
I
Congratulations.
have to go run upstairs and get my Tim Hortons mug now. Thank you.
Oh my god. So I'd like you each to come up with a point of interest for this town. It can be.
Okay.
So the three categories I'm going to, just so you'll know ahead of time, the three categories I'm going to throw here are point of interests in the area, NPCs, and rumors. So right now we're talking about points of interest. Things about the town that are interesting. They can be things that the people do, or they can be places, specific locations. What is the terrain like around there, just so that I'll have some idea near Montreal?
Like deciduous forest, rolling hills more so than mountains. And then Montreal itself is actually an island in the middle of the St. Lawrence River. So there's a bunch of stuff like on the mainland around there.
It's so great because it's a perfect defense for things that can't cross running water.
Yeah.
Yep. Either that or all the vampires just congregate on the island and just
Well,
live
they
there.
can't leave.
Yep.
It's like a prison.
Montreal is a vampire prison, canon.
I believe it.
Montreal is Canadian
That
for
tracks.
Alcatraz for vampire.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so there are things happening now also in the back of my head that there are too many for me to talk about right now, but it's just very interesting because I'm sure they've got their own sort of vampire society in there. They've got their own 1990s TV series taking place in Montreal, full of full of vampire politics and them trying to figure out things in their own underworld.
Are you talking about Nick Knight, Vampire Cop?
I kind of am talking about Forever Night.
Yeah.
Formerly the TV special Nick Knight with slightly different cast. But I will not get into that right now, for we are going more obscure than I think possibly the internet can take right now. So, yes.
You want to get obscure? We're essentially misfits of science.
Essentially, yes. But no one gets small, though. But, perhaps yet. We'll see. Oh, my God.
I volunteer as tribute.
No!
Oh.
Anyway. Points of interest before we drift too much into this. So if everyone can come up with an interesting thing about this town, perhaps people sometimes will go over to Montreal to get information about vampires or whatever, but here, in this town, whatever it is.
Bowling alley.
There is a bowling alley. Okay. We actually have already established that there is, but is there anything... do you want to make it specifically narratively important, this bowling alley? Because I will do that, if you so desire.
Was it built over holy ground?
I think we already have... So it's like we already have demons hanging out in bowling there, and it's okay. So they must be there in either controlled capacity, or they're there as just basically they're retired demons, or they just don't...
Basically, just like underground, under the bowling alley is the cult of Edison's base.
The bowling alley is the front for the cult of Edison.
Oh my God.
I think a good thing for the bully, since like demons just hang out there, it's like one of these like nexus spots that is like all the ley lines are just so perfect that it's just like, yeah, demons can come in and out of that place, but because it's such a nexus, like, so it's like, why would you attack at this one spot? Because there's probably like a bajillion other people here who hunt people like us in this building. So why cause a fight when like end up being horrible kind of stuff?
It's neutral ground.
Yeah, it's like neutral ground. Yeah.
Yeah, don't shit where you eat.
Yeah.
That's basically where neutral ground. It's accorded neutral ground. That makes sense. All right.
Here's my question though: how does Sully take the neutral ground of that spot?
Sully's the number one reason that we have to, like, he can't go there by himself. Like, that's his...
No good.
When he's going to fight, he's like, yeah, I'm going bowling.
It's no good.
And all of us are just like, wait, you can't bowl alone. You should take one of us.
Oh God, he needs a 16-year-old as a chaperone.
You know how dangerous bowling is.
I do not approve.
Is there like a sign in the bowling alley that says If this man is seen
No
here
Sullies.
unsupervised, please reach out to the following numbers.
I love it.
The owners have all of our numbers on speed dial. Hi,
There's
it's
like
me.
doppelgangers that'll go in as Sully just to ruin our days, so that they'll just come in looking like Sully, and we all get calls
Oh my
as Sully's
God.
like sitting on one of our couches.
Oh,
We're
I
like,
would watch this show. I would
Sully
watch
was there
this
the
show
entire
so
time.
hard.
I just love the idea that this bowling alley is neutral ground where all the supernatural folks will come and just to hang out and bowl.
It ain't good.
You
Yeah.
do
Not
realize
yet.
it's going to be really hard to make all the team names now, because we are going to essentially have to like put them down.
Yeah, we're gonna have to because there's probably a lot of teams.
cosmic order lines.
It's
There's
fair. It's
There's
fair.
probably a lot of teams.
It's probably
now.
the bowling alley is probably named after this Nexus line. Just
Oh
It's-
man.
we
Okay.
could just call it the Nexus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Just the Nexus.
Nexus
yeah.
lanes.
Yeah,
because
Nexus
it
lanes.
also
Yeah.
kind of gives you the vibe of like neon lights and like black light and that disco ball that every bowling alley has.
Yeah.
Mm.
Even in
Oh
the
my
inside,
God.
even though this place is a spot of pure magic, they still only serve Shasta on the soda machines.
All right. It's a splinter of purgatory that exists on Earth.
Yes.
That's why it's neutral town. And that's why you got the lights. It's stuck in a certain time period, and
It's like instantly dark as soon as
Stuck
you
in
walk
the-
into
it's like it's
it.
stuck in the
essentially
70s or something.
The medium place.
And it's like in like all the soda, the food, everything there is like something from the 70s. Like they just took a section of the 70s and just left it there, and they never updated anything at all in this bowling alley.
Oh my
Ori is 100% obsessed with corn dogs, even though she can't eat
Just-
them.
god. Oh my god, this is wonderful. Okay, so I think we've very adequately fleshed out the bowling alley. Are there any other points of interest in this town?
Can I propose, since we're in Canada
I think
and there
we're
has to be a
done here.
Tim
Bye, everybody.
Hortons,
No, there's a Tim Hortons.
but can it be a Tim Hortons that's run by like fey creatures?
Sure.
And they occasionally offer you samples, but if you take them, you'll owe them favors because you have to pay for everything. And when they ask you for your name,
Sully hates
Their drink.
everywhere that we go. Sully does not like any place we go.
That's just one of the three Tim
I think
Hortons. I'm sure the
Sully
other two
needs
are
a
run by humans.
Supernatural bar to hang out at.
oh my god,
Sully
they would
fully
oh,
just stays outside everywhere
but
we
like
go.
you know, at this Tim Hortons, if they ask you for your name for your drink, you have to give them a false name because
Yeah.
otherwise they'll have control over you. And
Yeah.
every so often you hear about some tourist coming in and getting whisked away to the fairy realm.
Here's
It's
what I
kinda
imagine
like-
happened. The first time Sully went there, they asked for his name and he just drew his hand cannon.
Oh my god. It's like, okay,
Don't do that.
I guess we're
Don't do that.
okay.
And then it was like a situation where like they got a call saying Sully is at the Tim Hortons. It's like, which Tim Hortons? That Tim Hortons. Like, oh no.
Don't
And
do
it's like
it.
normal people don't actually go to this Tim Hortons. Like you have to have a little bit of that weird to be able to find
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
so
Tim
you walk
Hortons
in
in the
there and
corner
there's
of
like
your eye.
vampires and demons.
I have one more thing to input. I feel like at this bowling alley they would still call pretend disco fries.
It's important.
That's important. Yeah, it's important. And they make the disco fries. They are actually really good. They're just not like this weird coagulation of potatoes, gravy, and cheese, and a bunch of other stuff.
This
Really
is good.
Can't take Sully anywhere, man.
Okay, so
I think it said like I think like whenever Sully brings up fine dining, he talks about the bowling food.
So, I mean, do we have any other? Okay, so before we even proceed, I feel like we should just to balance this out. Maybe there should be a hunter bar somewhere in here.
Sully, why don't you talk about the Hunter Bar?
A Hunter Bar. It's
Or, you don't have to. I just, yeah, but-
It's obviously called the Crossroads.
it's called the Crossroads. It's
Are we not the only hunters in the town? Are there more hunters?
Oh, if there's more hunters, fucking hire them, man. They're welcome to the team. Let's go.
But no. I'm sorry. I just sort of took over there for a second. But yeah, no. So Lance, do you want? Is there like a point of interest you want to throw down that can be? It can be that, or it can be something else. Or how do you want to do it?
But like this whole story, Sully's whole story is depressing, man. It's so sad. It's awful. Everyone else's story is like, okay, it's all right. Sully's like, he lost everyone and he's suffered for years.
I think if it's
Have
like
fun.
because he has such a suffering life, it makes his character even more of a joy to try like see what are those little things he enjoys in his life, kind of thing.
Ooh, well, here's another sad thing for the books. So another survivor from his old high school that's been rebuilt now runs a grief group, and Sully never goes in, but he'll look in through the window.
Oh God!
He'll look in through the window, you know, with a can of beer in his hand, and always walk away after a few
I
minutes.
love it. I love
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's so good.
It is.
Is it like a support group for people who have had specifically supernatural attacks, or is it just for all kinds of things?
It's for all kind of it's for all kinds of grief, but Sully's never actually gone in, so there could be a bit of that weirdness going on where the guy also knows maybe what happened or that something sketchy happened, that he's had a few people come in who are vague about their things and pulls them aside and says, hey, you know, I had something crazy happen like that, you know, you want to talk about it. And maybe he's a bit in the supernatural world, but as like a grief counselor for that sort of thing.
Awesome.
Can I just pose something to the group? And just the question is, does the population of this location, do they know the supernatural exist? We've described a lot of supernatural group locations, but is that exclusive to the supernatural, and then everyone else just goes about their life, and when weird things happen, it's just a weird thing that happens in this town? Or do people specifically know?
I think it's because Ozzy is there, he's known as part of like a group that deals with science. But when it comes to like supernatural, I mean, it's not really something he just believes more. He's more of a man of science. So it's like if supernatural stuff happened there, like a lot of the people would just go like, oh, you know, this is supernatural stuff has been in the world for the longest, but like, is there like a difference between like if like robots attack this town, whereas, you know, a group of elves attack the town, kind of thing. Like it can be fixed, like it can be fixed by science, kind of thing, or is it like someone has to cast a spell, kind of thing? I think that's like.
Have we had robot attacks at this town?
No.
Ozzy?
Can I throw something else out?
Yeah.
What if one of the reasons that Ozzy came to this town was to create a city of the future? A city that was dictated by science. And so if Montreal is kind of isolated, the idea is, well, of course, if you're going to build a town of science, you're going to do it in Canada. But Montreal could have been set up as an experiment. And if you're going to do that, of course, you bring the foremost action scientist robot in to do that. And maybe that's what the town's was secretly planned to be, but it kept on failing, and no one realized why it was failing. It was failing because it is such a font of supernatural energy as well. And so maybe a kind of mystical versus science.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So
I mean, I don't know what the origin of Montreal is, but was it bitten by a radioactive spider? Is that
it
what
was
happened?
probably bitten by a radioactive spider.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Radioactive tin bit.
Well, I'm wondering now, does Ozzy have some kind of support system or something else as far as just on the action scientist side of things? You said there's a group of some kind.
Yeah,
there,
it was a group that he was part of. The group was called like Teslagrad. And they were pretty much like this, like a group of people like him, like action scientists. Like that was like the group they were part of. They were totally separate from the government, from all kind of like government groups, the CIA, anything that you can't tie them. They're not tied to them, but they would they were called in by the CIA or the FBI to advise them, kind of thing. That's I think that's what the group was, and like he's right now, like I think it's because of the way the world is right now. Normally, like back in like the turn of the century, it was like, you know, there was like the group was huge. They would always bring in new people in all the time. But the way the way the world is now, like, even though he's like a super advanced piece of robotics, he's also a relic of the past. Like the eyes of action scientists are like, you know, that's what we have. That's what the internet is for. And I think that's why he decided to just settle down and try to build this future city, because if he builds a city of the future that he can live in and help develop, it will give him a purpose again. Because action scientists are like legit just like a relic of the past and the pop fiction style pulp novels.
So I like that.
Is there still like an action scientist office there or something that?
Yeah, like one of the old Teslagrad offices was stationed in this town, and he opened it back up.
Yeah.
As like where he would work in, and there's like that creepy old manor. That's where he lives. In one of those creepy old it looks like a creepy old manor, but that's where he lives.
And that's where the Teslagrad office is?
Yeah, that's where the Teslagrad office is in that building.
Oh my god, that's awesome. And actually, I'm seeing in chat someone saying Montreal had the Expo, sort of like a City of the Future exhibition for a long time. Which I know nothing about, but I shall look it up. Expo 67, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. I shall dig into that when I have time. I shall keep that tab open. But that's neat. Okay.
And I think that kind of works well too, because Ori is like this amalgamation of science and like supernatural power, right? Like being like this very intricate clockwork creation that was brought to life and may have broken some rules in the sect that she was created in, kind of thing.
Excellent. So I know we've sort of been hopping around from person to person, and I haven't really. I sort of said everyone give me a detail, and then we just sort of had a conversation, which is fine. But does anyone else have any other points of interest they want to throw in for the?
How about a community college?
Community college is cool.
Yeah, I think you're dealing with a smaller town that doesn't have a college itself, like and maybe that's a sign of the failure sort of Ozymandias, you know, a sign of the times where they could have built this great tower, an edifice to academia, and they have a community college instead. It's fine.
Yeah, in like even the library that he was working at for that little bit, like it wasn't even like a library. It was like a very small public library, and he was there to try to like, you know, add more books about deep research in this library to kind of expand its knowledge. And yeah, that's why he was there for that one brief period.
And people only want to check out Tom Clancy novels. It's really depressing.
What I'm wondering what most people at this community college decide to major in typically. Is there like an overriding?
I'm speaking from. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I missed that last part. What was that?
Oh no, sorry, we jumped. I'm wondering what most people at this community college decide to major in. If there's like an overriding trend for it, as for whatever is out here near this town.
Do people want to leave, or are people compelled to stay? What do you think? as a group?
I think because it's like a small town, it's like if you are staying here, you pretty much have roots here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those
Yeah,
kind of
I
small
like
towns.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be something like science seems like a cool thing, but maybe people who go to the community college are coming in for something that only this area can get you. And maybe science is what it is. Maybe they can't build a own university, but like you have some brilliant minds that come in to build. I mean, essentially it's going to be a way to cause havoc, right? You get you could have some science mischief at the community college rather than.
You know what I think
wait,
it
could
is?
there be something that's could? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, would be a cool thing. The community college is a community college. Like people go there, to get an education. But the reason why this community college is in this town, it was originally like a community college for super scientists. And if you went there for the right majors, you could learn super science kind of thing. I think that's what it was.
Okay, so I think what oh hey, hello.
Hi.
Oh, no worries. I shall fix the cameras as we speak here. Everyone is someone else now. So I don't want to keep us too horribly late tonight. As we've got a lot of cool material already here. So what I'm thinking, if anyone has any like burning ideas they want to throw out at this point, they can feel free to do so. But here's what for these things that I'm about to ask about real quick. I think for the majority of these, I think we can probably handle these in sort of messaging over the Discord over the coming week. So they are basically, I'd kind of like each of you to come up with an NPC that's around the town somewhere. It can be one connected to your character or not. These are just NPCs that you think would be interesting, narratively interesting to include. Then I'd like each of you to come up with a rumor of something strange that kind of would have helped draw you into the current case that we're going to be on when we start. And if you could do that basically within the next, preferably the next couple of days or so, that would be best. So that would give enough time to sort of try to incubate it in the melon, try to sort of figure it out. And I mean, if anyone has any burning ideas for any of these things right this second that they got to get out, you feel free. But otherwise, we're probably going to go ahead and draw this to a close, I think, at this point. So I will just ask any last-minute things anyone wants to bolt out or throw in here.
Good.
No, I think we all
Alright.
got our burning ideas out of the way.
Cool, awesome. So we'll come up with those things sort of in the interim, and then that will help me to build the thing. We've already got so much, and it's great. So I can already get started. But
We have so much.
there's so much. But I do want to see just again through NPCs and rumors stuff that you might find narratively interesting. So we'll work on that in the interim. But I am quite happy with this. I think this is going to be pretty cool. So thank you all. Thank you for diving in on this. So we're going to go ahead and do our outros at this point. So folks can feel free to say where folks can find you. Feel free to plug anything you like. And any impressions of this session, final impressions of the session, and anything you're looking forward to. And we're going to go the reverse order of where we started. So we shall begin with Drew. Hopefully. Or we might.
I mean, if you want to find me.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, if you want to find me online, I'm at Drew M Meyer on Twitter. I know a lot of folks are stuck. If you've got kids and you're watching this and you need a story time, the Lynchburg Public Library in Lynchburg, Virginia, where I work, does a story time every weekday at 10:30. You can just go onto their Facebook page and jump on that. Stay safe.
Cool, awesome. Were there any final impressions of this session or things you're looking forward to you want to mention before we go?
I'm just thrilled with the people I'm telling stories with. You all are having incredible ideas. I'm really, really jazzed about. I kind of want to live in this world now. Though I would be devoured quickly, I'm sure. But I'm really looking forward to playing around with some of the ideas that we threw out tonight. So yeah.
Awesome, excellent. Well, thank you so much for playing. Finally got you into another game. So this is cool. So we need to do this more than once a decade. That's all I'm saying. But very cool. Yeah. Timing. What can you do? All right, and now let us go over to Gillian.
Yeah, so hi everybody, bye everybody. My name is Gillian. You can follow me on my Twitter on G4GamingX, and I'm also on my streams of G4Gaming1 on Twitch, where I do a lot of variety streams, and also through the month of April, which is Autism Acceptance Month. I'm currently raising money for the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. The Tiltify is also in the description, and on Saturdays, at 11 a.m. EST to 2 p.m. EST, on Saturdays, I'm on twitch.tv/CaptainCost for our Legacy of Cascardus game. We just had some really big plot twists, and now we're dealing with the aftershock of it, so that's going to be pretty neat, so...
Excellent. Go forth and check those things out. Delightful. Any final... did you were able to give any final impressions for this session?
This could be such a great session, just from the two robots that we have, the father-daughter kind of relationship there, the jungle that we have, and the possible work-in-progress relationship between the gumshoe and the magical initiate with the huge tattoo arm. Oh, this is gonna be fun. And also, finally, a Tim Hortons Canadian setting. This will be so exciting!
Donuts everywhere! Excellent. Very cool. And now over to Lance.
Once again, I am Lance. You can find me on Twitter at LTALIG. That's pretty much all it is for me. I tweet sometimes it's funny, a lot of times it's not. As far as this game goes, it was really nice to get in here and chat about what we're going to do with you guys, and I'm really looking forward to it. Sully is going to be one sad guy. But hopefully the rest of the cast will bring it up.
I've just got to say that also Sully is totally the kind of character I usually play. So it's very much also, I identify, it's very much also sort of...
Hey, he's a sad guy, but he's getting through it.
My characters are so full of regret and sadness. I understand. So that's going to be very cool. All right, and over to Autumn.
Yeah, I'm Autumn Graves. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Taurus Donuts. You can find me playing plain old video games over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Senkave. And I also run a D&D campaign that we're turning into a pretty awesome novelization and audiobook, which you can find at themisfitadventurers.com. I tweet about that a lot and other D&D stuff. So, yeah. As for this game, I think that this is a great crew, and I'm very excited to play with everyone. And I'm really excited for our little found family of robots and awkward teenagers.
Yes. I cannot wait. Very cool. And finally, Wally.
Hi, my name is Wally. You can find me on the Twitter at Wally132, where I tweet out random stuff. Also, that's right. I can finally say this. I'm on another show on this network. I am on the Wednesday Night Masks game. which is also a great time. You guys should definitely check that out. 8 o'clock. Check it out. It's so great. We're in our start. Is this 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
7
o'clock. Yes, 7 o'clock. And we're starting our season 2, session 1 for our season 2. So come check it out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I think definitely what I'm looking forward to for this is just the whole found family thing. I just really like how it worked out, where it's like robot adopts robot daughter. Daughter gets weird. Plucky sidekick best friend actually finds her hero, and then there is drunk uncle that all of them are trying to bring up to the best out of.
Yes. I think it's going to be very cool. I'm very much looking forward to this.
It's gonna be so fun.
Awesome. Well, folks,
Never thought Sully would end up this way.
Who knew? Awesome. Well, once again, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I have links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and some of my fiction and games I've been working on, along with links to game signups and applications to join our Discord. So what's happening? So I'm actually going to be tomorrow morning, quite suddenly. I'm going to be over on Dee's channel, Praxagor Thesmophoria, doing one of her play readings that she's been doing. With the play we're doing tomorrow morning is The Dutch Lover by Afra Ben, who I believe is actually an English writer. From apparently this was performed and published in 1673, so I have absolutely no idea what it's about, but I'm looking forward to diving in. So if you want to see me getting dramatic and possibly talking to myself, as I often do on those streams, as different characters, feel free to come check that out. Then on Wednesday night, tomorrow night, of course, we have our continuing Masks campaign, run by Molthulu, which is a lot of fun. We are launching the first actual RP session of Volume 2. So we've had the 6 months. We had the Star-Crossed session between my character and Kat's character last Friday to try to figure things out.
I highly recommend you guys watch that. It's so so wholesome and pure. I highly recommend it.
That was my first time playing Star-Crossed, but it was a lot of fun, and I think it was very cool, sort of figuring out what happened in their relationship during that 6-month gap. So very neat. But then we get to see what's actually happening with all the heroes, with that coming to fruition. So that'll be tomorrow night, and then let's see on Friday on this channel. We are going to be finishing off the was supposed to be a one-shot game that we started this past Sunday of Hidden Qualities. That's a game I wrote that is about that we're kind of still playtesting the recent iteration of. It's about working with people in space, and sort of when you're confined with someone for a long period of time, how that can possibly change you, and so that's kind of what we're sort of exploring in that game. And we decided to, since we weren't able to finish, we decided to we'll continue this Friday. So that's Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, if you want to come back and check that out. We will be finishing up with that same crew, just sort of figuring out where their relationships go. And then on Saturday evenings, I run a game of Invisible Sun called The Edge of Paradox, where things get decidedly surreal, and lots of people have very strange kinds of lunch. It's mostly about food, oddly, but they've just stepped onto a train that is taking them to the south end of things, and we'll see how things go. As there are people that they suspect of treachery there on the train they've already seen, so we'll see how they approach that. And then on Sundays, Sunday afternoons, we do one-shots. The one-shot this coming Sunday is going to be Futurity. That is a GM-less game by Summer from Off the Table that she wrote. It's basically a game where we're playing oracles, predicting each other's futures and our own, and forming a story about the world that it's set in. And so I think that's going to be very cool. Then on Sunday night, we have our regular Dark Matter campaign, Ghosts of Saltmaw. It's Ghosts of Saltmarsh in space, run by Alyssa, who is doing a kick-ass job with it, and mapping everything to these science fiction tropes, and I cannot get enough of this campaign. Then we swing back around to Tuesday, 1 week from today. Again, we're going to take another stab Tuesday afternoon of continuing with our Las Vegas campaign. We weren't able to do it today, unfortunately, just circumstances came up, but we're hopefully going to be able to do it next week. James will be in the dealer's seat, and we will be starting on Act 3 of this very strange, surreal game set in a twisted, hellish version of Las Vegas. And then, of course, that evening, Tuesday night, more of this, where we will start our 3-episode arc for this mini-campaign, and I cannot wait. So very much looking forward to that. So...
you are living your best life, aren't you?
Yes. Yes, I am.
25 years ago, you couldn't possibly have hoped that this would have been the outcome.
I thought to myself, can I possibly find a way to combine role-playing games, theater, and writing into a single thing, and media production of some kind into a single thing, and it's happening. So that's a thing that I very much appreciate. Sleep, I'm not sure. Sleep is the one thing I'm not sure how that works, but we're still figuring that out. Hi, Mem. Hi. So when we hit the end card, let's see, where shall we go? I think that, nope, they're ending. Okay, so we won't raid there. I'm going to send a raid over to, let's see, a couple of places are open right now. So I think I'm going to send a raid over to somewhere. We'll figure it out. Probably to, let's see, I've just followed some new channels, and so we're probably going to raid one of those. So it's probably going to be either... could be Raven, could be Featherfall Tabletop, where it looks like, yeah, that looks interesting. There's a storytelling game about misfits and spaceships powered by the apocalypse. Let's go check that out. They're doing another PBTA game over on Featherfall Tabletop, nice. So we're going to go over there and say hi to them. Feel free to hang on if you so desire and say hi to them with us. That, again, will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and we will see you next week. Farewell.